Hello, people. I love that you answered me because the other two never did.
I didn't know that we were supposed to.
Welcome back to another episode of the Backyardi'Yinz, the Pittsburgh Backyard Wrestling Podcast, where we sit around in a circle and talk to each other about dumb stuff we did when we were younger.
Very dumb stuff.
Very dumb stuff. But today might include some of the dumbest. We have a couple of clips in here that still scare me to this day, but we'll get to that when we get to it. In the room with us today, we have, across the room from me, the GOAT, everybody knows, everybody loves, Hack Edgerman. How are you today, bud?
I'm very good.
Who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
I'm going to have to go with the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Of course it is, yeah. And Bret Hart is a very close number 2, right?
Absolutely not.
Right. To his right, we have the producer who I once called the prettiest cat in all of Mexico and recently was sent a picture of a prettier cat, so we can't call him that anymore. We have Dominic.
Hi,
Dominic. Who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
it is The Undertaker.
Yep.
And I still believe there should be an asterisk next to the streak-ending match.
We might have to have a whole podcast just about that.
Absolutely. That could take years.
Yeah. But for now, we're just going to jump on to the person to your right. Returning to the podcast again, we have Steve. Hello.
How's it going?
It's fantastic. Who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
Hack Edgerman.
Oh, me too. You beat me to it. I was going to say that. That really offends me.
I could smell it. I was like, I had to beat him.
I did. Oh, damn it. All right.
I'm just kidding. It's actually Super Phoenix.
All right. Well, I'm Rick, Sick Rick, the kid with the hot bars, and if he already took my favorite wrestler of all time, I'll go with Mick Foley. I guess I'll be real basic, you know.
That's a great choice, though.
No, it is a great
They're
one.
basically the same person.
Yeah, they are essentially exactly the same.
Oh, no, I was talking about Hack Edgerman and Super Phoenix.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Hack Edgerman and Mick Foley because they both got like holes in their nose, but for different reasons. So today, we are here to talk about Backyard Supremacy 2 and the ground zeros that led up to it. Backyard Supremacy 2, I like to think of as our coming out party. The first Backyard Supremacy was great. It was fun for what it was, but it was like a let's get to know each other and see what we're capable of and who's capable of what.
But the second
feeling out
one,
process.
we're already comfortable with everybody. We know how we want to do our thing and who we want to wrestle. And
Right. We were going to get Devin for the first time and Pen Name and Twisted Outcast from Chicago. And this was just a couple months after BYS 1, which is, I guess we just didn't want to come up with another name of the show. And in those couple months, we were running some home shows, ground zeros as we like to call them. It was just, I would say we took ground zeros very unseriously for the most part. We knew we were turning them into music videos. We would kind of call the stuff out loud, not give a shit about anything.
Yeah, it really
Not
did
all
get to
the
that
time.
point, though. I remember wrestling you, and literally the whole match was like, all right, let's do this, and then let's do this. It didn't matter.
Right.
We didn't have anybody there, so there wasn't any expectations other than the finished product.
Yeah,
So
and that was towards the way end. Way end.
My favorite part about Ground Zero was I got to just wake up and walk outside and go wrestle and then go back in, and it was really nice for me. But that came with the added context of then having to be the guy that handles the media from it. So it's like, while it was easy for me to be a part of the show, handling the rest of the show got to be a lot of work, which this podcast is very similar to that scenario where it's great to be in this room, and as soon as I get home with all these files and I have to be the one that edits it for 45 hours, it's
Do you have any advice for anyone starting a podcast?
Don't do it.
Yeah, that's good advice.
We spent a lot of money, a lot of time, and this is fun. This is great times, but like, just don't do it. Just watch our podcast instead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's already enough podcasts, so just enjoy ours. We're going to start today with where we left off. We had just gotten back from WrestleFest.
correct.
So here is the first show back after WrestleFest. This is Ground Zero 10, SWC versus KPW. We have Jimmy Nuts, Genocide, and Scott Brumley returning to SWC after BYS 1. And this was fairly quickly. We only had maybe 1 or 2 Ground Zeros after BYS before we got to this point.
That's some unlikely attire, Steve.
Right, I had acquired Tech's shorts at WrestleFest, and I was like, well, I'll take them because I knew FX wrestled with him, so I was going to give them to FX at the next show. I figured may as well wrestle with them on.
And that ended up being a thing for you, right? You
Kind of, yeah, just by happenstance.
You just ended up with a lot of gear that wasn't yours and kept wrestling in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what month this is?
This would have to still be August, I'd guess. Or,
I would assume. I have all the dates and all the full videos of this over on the SWC Backyard Wrestling YouTube channel. So if you're interested in any of that, you could check that out. This was the first chance that Nutter really had to put on a banger since he came back, because most of his opponents, not taking anything away from any of them, but most of them had not been quite on his level, whereas you now are, and he gets the opportunity to like show off a little bit, which you could tell he takes this one pretty seriously.
I think it also helps the fact I keep doing the snapmares wrong, and it's pissing me off. But I think also the fact that we had wrestled each other before, we have known each other, almost, half a decade at this point,
right?
And getting to work together from a different perspective, not so green. Also, just we talked about the comfortability several times, and I think that plays a huge factor in this.
Why did Josh randomly?
Yeah,
punch
I was
him?
wonder the same thing.
Yeah.
Even
But
though,
he's not in the match, right?
Even though no, he's not. Even
Ooh,
though
that was a good
Nutter
spot.
is as well, and it was kind of a thing. I think I may have talked about it
Damn.
before.
Yeah,
it was kind of the aspect of like jumping in the members. Like if I tested them in some way, and Nutter had just interfered in my match with Snow, so he's in. Now it's time to jump him in as a gang mentality.
Okay, I see.
Which I'd never really conveyed that publicly, but that was always just kind of like the thing. And like in hindsight, like I wish I did talk about that. Maybe in a promo, like to make it known. But
and a lot of that comes with the fact that, like we were talking about off camera right before this started, we didn't have a whole lot of people. There were 20 people in CTK. You kind of had to wrestle each other occasionally.
Yeah, but also like it was like a lot of my friends like wanted to join, and it's like, oh, cool, Steve's wrestling. Like I want to wrestle my friend.
Right.
I think there was that aspect, but also we also had the benefit of the GBYWN, which I feel like we also would maybe explain some things on there too that kind of eclipse the physical media and the visual media.
Right.
It transcended rather.
That
That's
makes a lot of
maybe
sense,
my
yeah.
opinion.
So here we have this was actually kind of part of a ETW title elimination tournament thing. Or not ETW, sorry, CBYW.
I love ETW.
CBY ETW title elimination, because Steve had won the belt from Beast Snow at JAS2, like we saw. So this was like Steve giving an opportunity to other people to try and win a belt that he didn't want to carry around. But in reality, it was like just find a way to eventually get it back to Ohio.
Yeah, we were trying to figure this out, which they did that spot back at the SWC versus KBW, so we brought it back there. I remember putting that out. But Rick, you and I were talking about like the like tournament, so to speak, and I don't remember quite how it happened, but like the idea was, I know that we needed them to get that belt back. Like,
watch this bump.
Look at that!
Wait, what title did you have and tried to get rid of?
I had the CBYW Elite Championship, and that was just because I was working with Snow,
right?
And he had suggested dropping the title to me.
Okay,
and I was like, all right. Like I guess
That's why we had that belt.
That's how I got it. Like he was just like, I was actually at your birthday party. I remember I was texting him at your birthday party at your house. It's why I completely forgot about that until now. Like I remember, like I was like, we were sitting down. I was like, oh, Snow's gonna drop the belt to me. I guess that's cool. And then we kind of like realized that like they need it back, but I wasn't gonna be wrestling any of their guys. So then we kind of just like I vacated it and we did
something different. This was also part of that Me versus Genocide for the first time, and you really realize how ridiculous of an athlete he is whenever you're actually in the ring with. Like, you'll see him do stuff, but to feel the way that he moves and the way that his muscles react to themselves is a whole different animal, right?
He's elite.
Yep.
Wonder what he's up
cool
to
spot
these
here.
days.
Oh,
look at that!
Very cool spot. He told me that we couldn't do that, and I told him he was wrong.
Wait, what was his reasoning?
He didn't think it was possible.
Oh, I see.
Did he not believe in his abilities? Or
I don't know. Maybe I have no idea. But
believe
like
in
going
yours?
in with knees up against my chest to him going out flat to me kneeing him.
Maybe it was a slight to you. Maybe he's like, Rick, you can't do this.
And I said, watch me.
Look at that! You did the snapmare correct.
I don't
did
even
not.
know what the difference was. Backyarder here. I don't know.
I feel like you like opponents like this because you always had like good ideas, but not everybody could always execute them. And
Absolutely.
someone in the physical condition of genocide could do it.
No doubt about it. And there were other matches where I maybe overestimated my opponent's physical ability,
Oh
like
my
in the
God,
future.
you almost came down on his head there. He
Right.
rolled a little bit way too
No,
slow.
we headbutted.
Oh God.
Yeah, we
So you
smacked
did.
heads. It
Well,
sucked.
that was cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I loved stuff like this. But like I wrestled, I had a match with, I don't know, Adam Bolt Burnett in the future, like a long time after this. And I thought that he was like able to do Kevin type stuff. So I planned it. It's like 15 minutes of that. And we get out there and it's just not that.
And then once you're in that
was a
position,
good-ass
you
fucking
can't really do
trapper
anything.
keeper.
Right. He kicked that shit. I give him one of these.
The 360.
That's all three of them boys. No, it's not.
Oh,
No, it's not.
Falsy.
It's okay.
What?
It's okay. That can't put me away, can it? No way. Yes.
I want to point out that that's probably like the first time Scott didn't wrestle Kevin
Yeah.
in this match, or this show, rather.
Right? I would agree with that, actually. This one's disgusting. I stole this from Natrix. Get him all the way up on the shoulder.
Oh, there you go.
All the way up on the shoulder.
I like that match a lot. That was
Nothing but
awesome.
Love for Natrix.
And and it was a lot of fun too. That show was a bit of a teaser of stuff to come in the future, right? SWC coming up for grounds, or KPW coming up to SWC for Ground Zeroes.
I suppose, yeah. That's
Yeah.
just, I mean, I don't know if that was the idea. Like, this
No,
is a
no,
teaser.
it was
just
not
like,
the idea at
hey,
all.
we want you guys to come up as much as possible. And it's like, I guess maybe we came up with the match layout and like, oh, well, this is kind of like SWC versus KPW. Let's roll with that.
Absolutely. And not only that, but like, why didn't we tell them to come all the time?
We probably did.
At this point, like, did any, like, the three of you guys, did any of you think that, like, because we're going to get into BYS too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Did any of you guys think, like, we're doing this and it's going to go all the way to BYS 5, or were you literally in the moment thinking this could derail at any moment?
That's a very good question.
I remember, I don't remember thinking about BYS 5, but I remember having very strong feelings on we're doing this. Like, whenever it gets to where we want it to be, it's going to be good and people are going to know about it.
Okay, so you wanted longevity regardless.
Definitely a
But I
couple
feel
years
like at the
worth.
same time, we were living in the moment, but we didn't expect it to end anytime soon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's kind of like you don't know you're in the good old days. kind
Yeah.
of deal.
Yeah.
There was no reason to think where the melting, where the boiling point was. It's just like, let's just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not aim for a particular end date. Let's just go. I mean, I knew that I was eventually going to get trained professionally and Josh was going to go back. So there was like that kind of time limit. But as
Yeah.
far as I can recall, that's all there really was to it.
This was just we
everything
love it,
else.
do
There was
it.
no reason to think there'd be an end.
Hell
And
yeah.
like with me and Eric, like we went from nobody to all of this, and it's like, holy fuck, we're living this up.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. 'Cause
That is
we-
true, because you guys talk about how you came up together and like watched this stuff together and wanted to do it, and now you're like center stage. You
We
have to
fought.
be,
And we didn't have to wrestle the same three people.
Right. and like we were talking about when you guys first showed up, just the idea of like, not only are there new people here, which is cool, but they're all like experienced to an extent and everybody kind of knows what they're doing. And
Yeah,
then like
exactly.
KPW, we had who the hell are they? It came out of nowhere
Yeah.
just to
And
show
they
up.
were
you know?
awesome.
Though it's funny that there was like this influx of wrestlers, but I felt like you guys like were constantly like JP and Josh were constantly like wrestling each other in some capacity, and I was like always wrestling a new person, and I
Yeah.
can't quite figure out how that worked.
From what I remember, a lot of it was most of the random people wanted to wrestle you. Like, even in the future, Chris Cash came, he wanted to wrestle you, stuff like that. Like, Tony Deppen came and specifically wanted to wrestle Ed. But whenever, like, there was an extra person, you would normally take it upon yourself to be like, Lil Ryder's the extra guy today. I'm going to wrestle him. I'm not going to maybe take it so seriously.
Even on like Ground Zeroes, I feel like how many times did I see Josh and JP doing the same thing?
Yeah.
But like I was always doing something different, and that didn't always mean that because there was somebody new. It's just really weird. I
Yeah.
think it was probably because I wrestled new people early on. Like it got to the point where like other
And
people
you already
were like,
wrestled Josh and all them 100
well,
times.
that too, and like the aspect of like super shows. Like I think everyone kind of like rushed to do like the names. Where like I got B Snow, and then I got Tony Sheets.
Right.
So then like down the line, it's like, oh well, that day where I could have been wrestling somebody that's perceived higher up on the card.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cash in on that now. Maybe that's why. But
Yep. And that brings us to Ground 011 here, where Ed was not working for this show. This was the beginning of the build to me. Well, the beginning of the official build to me and Steve at Backyard Supremacy 2. There had been a 2-year story that led up to this point, and I cut a terrible promo where I just told the whole 2-year story, and then at the end of it, I'm like, Steve, get your ass out here right now and fucking give me my belt.
So I get in gear.
Which this was the test of the JP belt, because we realized that Dom's belt was very small. And the
It's
other
very, very small.
Yeah, so we were like, let's see how this looks. And then I don't know why we went back.
Because we didn't, because like it looked great,
You do not have.
and we wanted to use it, but we decided that it would be more cool if we took the small belt and the ECW belt, merged it, dropped it, and we even do it. We pretend like that belt hadn't been seen.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
It's like a not canon. But I feel like, you know, I feel like the reason why we started to put into gear the BYS 2, because we realized, oh shit, we need to probably start leading up to this.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to actually tell people why it matters. Like,
See the tape marks on there? That used to say NWW.
yes, they did.
Look at Josh hiding his face as if you don't know that's Josh.
I know, he's like a villain in a movie, and you never get to see
So
him.
what you may claim is just that. It's a claim.
It's just a
theory.
claim.
It's not real. Fake.
JP,
You believe
fake.
whatever you
Always the
want.
worst. Whenever other people are trying to cut a promo, he's trying to crack you.
Was that what he was doing, or is he just an asshole?
Both. Both can be true.
Fair point.
Nothing.
Why should I give you a shot? Why?
I actually just found that hat when I was looking for the CTK shirt. I found it at my dad's. Like, oh shit, I forgot all about this hat.
Should have wore it.
I should have wore it, but I didn't grab it from my dad's.
Fair.
That was so as much as JP was always trying to like crack people and be an asshole in the promos, Ed was always on camera talking to people. Like Ed, oh, I'm so sore. I haven't wrestled in a while. This guy up here is being a douchebag. It's like just whole sentences missing from promos because Ed's just talking to Derek or something.
So what are you saying? You're giving me
Ed's just like, I love works, and it's like, bro, shut up. We're trying to do something serious.
That's something I would do.
I get it though, because sometimes you just kind of like zone out and not realize that you're using a camera, and like there's kind of like a disconnect
This bed
there.
is everything I need.
Everything I need,
Everything I need.
but it's not everything I want.
But it's not everything I want.
Hey.
I want my title.
I remember specifically right there. I looked at Josh and was like, "Yeah, it's not everything he has."
He was.
All right.
And I remember in hindsight that you said that you should have also addressed the other belt too, because you made it seem like you just wanted that old belt back.
Right.
If you win,
So then that also kind of leaded to vacating that title as well.
So titles for company.
titles.
Okay, so this is where we put the company on the
shit.
line as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like
Because-
the company you have with you, or the Are you talking about CTK or SWC?
SWC.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was the idea. Is like at this point, it was like, all right, time to take over SWC, and I wanted.
Yeah.
And we were even talking about doing a CTK Super Show. I remember we had discussed that. I threw it at you once, and like, obviously it didn't happen, but like I think we were going to do like a CTK show day 1, and then an SWC show day 2. I think that was the idea, because it was like, well, we're gonna have all these people here and they can't even wrestle, and it's because like it was literally only gonna be CTK versus CTK, and it's gonna
I
be
now
like,
remember.
look how good we are, our show's better than yours. And then the day 2, it's gonna be SWC versus, you know, like whoever, of like CBYW or whoever, like anyone that it wasn't. And then it was like, okay, well, we really didn't get to do that, so we have to convey that like my character wants the company,
Right.
So
And a lot of the stuff that I was saying on there was like, it was just essentially like, this is what me and Ed worked for, and you left and we turned it into this, and now you're coming back. And like, who do you think you are coming back with my belt trying to take what me and Ed did? Well, if you want it, I'll give you the opportunity to get it, but I want my shit too, so let's do this type deal.
we're conveying me versus you. I want the company, you want the championship, and also there's the underlying tension of me using the faction to fight the fights and me not really replicating that.
And there was even like small undertones of the Link versus GBYWN type of stuff, where it was like, I'm one of the new kids who's up and coming with this group of people, and you're a member of the old guard that got all the belts, and you're talking all the shit, and I'm trying to fight for it. Like, it was a good story. Like, what we were doing was fun, and it was like borderline complex for backyard wrestling.
right.
And,
It's almost like the politics of backyard wrestling were the storyline.
Kind of.
yeah.
In a
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
way, a
Yeah.
non-serious way.
Well, I mean, like that's kind of like how it started with like me coming in as the old guard,
Yeah.
addressing you like you're not going to ruin my reputation. I'm
Right.
going to change the name, yada yada yada. So like there was a lot of layers to this.
And at the end of that promo, you said, "I'll think about it." And I
Ooh.
said, "You better." Yeah. So
I hope I made up my mind.
we get to Ground Zero 13 here. Look,
There's
who
my
it
favorite
is.
wrestler.
Super Phoenix, dude. Maybe won one match ever. Maybe hit one splash ever. Took him 4 years to hit a big splash. Super Phoenix versus Worthless.
Look at my
already
brother
know
being
how
the
this
ref.
gonna go.
Nice of him to show up.
Yeah, there's E doing his thing. Fucking shout out E.
Oh, there's that submission that Josh was talking about. How he used to do the suplex.
Yep, there it is again
Oh, there
with the
it is.
DDT. Back
It's
to
fu-
back.
It's funny how I said that I kicked out Eric because I knew that he didn't take wrestling. Like he didn't really care for wrestling.
Yeah.
and like he wouldn't show up. But here he is. Like I
Right.
said, didn't need to kick him out.
Right, exactly.
yeah, I remember him being there a lot. Like, well, a lot of the times I was there. At least.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, he was a part of moving the base. Like he did a lot of stuff with us early on.
I just never remember him wrestling. I remember you beating him with the stick.
Yeah.
He even eventually gets an official match on BYS, which
That's
is
true. More than I can say for myself.
yeah, right. None of us have.
Does the
Here
audience
it is,
know
big
who
splash.
this
This
is?
is the one time he hits it.
I don't think so. No.
Oh,
this
look
is
at the
not
editing
it.
skills.
That was cool. That wasn't actually editing. He did that in real life.
Right,
He's
Super
just
Phoenix.
slowed down.
Super Phoenix was Pablo Lopez, right, Ed? That was your cousin from Mexico.
Yes, 100%.
I forgot all about that.
That would explain the similar body language.
And then after the match is over, apparently I have something in my book bag.
Jeez.
That's called production right there. Because when do you ever see somebody getting jumped in a backyard show?
Right.
That's good.
Right.
This is just so random. Like, Eric just gets his ass beat.
Yeah,
And it's
watch
not
this
like
one.
you're in different rooms.
Check
You're in the
this shit out.
same
This sucks.
outdoor area.
Yeah.
Steve accepts my challenge for BYS and does one of these.
Oh!
Yeah, and then Ed saves me. He waited until I got decapitated to save me.
I thought I hit
I'm
the
sorry,
ground.
Eric.
Oh no, you did, but
Okay.
like the theory is you killed me, right?
Okay,
It
good.
looked like it
What the
hurted.
fuck? Is this a rematch? I remember doing that.
Did you blow smoke through
Dark
the star?
Yeah, he-
I forgot I was a part of that.
Yeah, you were. You joined at JAS2 with me, and the group was actually really big and cool until like 2 weeks later when all the good guys quit, and it was just me, you, Shadow, and FX.
Remember how I said we avoided each other?
Yeah, yep.
There we
And then
go.
there's that. Yeah,
Oh, shit.
I was just saying, well, I just shit on that, right? But no,
Oh, this
No.
is a tag team match.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
This is amazing.
I agree.
I
This
forgot
is-
all about this.
Me too.
we planned this very specifically. Me and Steve were going to start because I wanted to go at him, and Steve jumped out real quick. And then it's basically Ed for the next 7 minutes, which is always fine with me to just stand on the corner.
Yeah, but this is like good with the storyline, like you were saying. You know,
I would give so much money to have that body again.
You know what? I would spend a lot to have that hair.
Man, when the years start coming, they
They
don't, stop coming.
JP just hit the ground running, hitting Ed with the DDT there, which is fantastic.
yeah, he was killing it.
Yep.
So this would
Oh, that wasn't as good as the first one.
I was going to say, so when you said this is a rematch, this would be the first time you and I have worked together since working the first time.
No.
Yeah.
You
No?
guys 1v1'd on the very
just
next
figured
show.
out-
That's right, that's right.
I just
Wait,
figured
we
out why
what?
Ed's wrestling body language looks so specific.
Why?
This motherfucker always has his knees bent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're sideways bent too.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
No, it's good though. It's like it's you. That's
Yep.
what you do.
I did notice that I specifically wore my CTK shorts. On the back of it had the logo.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if anybody ever noticed. I mean,
Oh, that was sick.
Yep.
It's small detail that, like, you know, I had ripped up
So
jeans.
hit that
They
twice.
were different several times.
Are you? Was that
Tarp
on
in
purpose?
the way. No.
Probably not, no.
That tarp would get annoying as fuck.
Yeah, I
sometimes.
want to talk about that whenever we get up to the BYS2 show itself. But at this point, this is actually kind of cool because Ed and I both wore a lot of different stuff when we wrestled over time. But like what I'm wearing and what Ed is wearing is like what we always wore. That was
Right.
our main gears.
Yeah.
Oh, look at
my god! What
Yep.
the fuck?
I was going to say, we are really doing a good job of building up that hot tag.
Yep.
This match is incredible, and I don't remember.
There we go. There we go.
Boom,
Oh, we should have
finally.
never
The
let that
hot
happen.
tag.
That was your
Old
idea,
school.
though.
Should have never let that happen.
Nice bump.
Probably in my mind back then was probably the idea. That was cool.
Into that.
Oh shit.
This got to end it, right?
He's definitely not hitting that.
Oh, what a fucking fajib.
Oh, that's a word I haven't heard in a long time. Oh, no! Oh, no.
Impact Driver, nowhere near as deadly as it was for Dominic.
I
Very
still
safe.
liked it.
That's the Merc. Is that the first Merc?
I
It
think
might
that
be.
is.
That's
I think
the
that
first.
is.
And there's the tap out, too. That's the debut of the Merc.
Oh no.
What the fuck?
What a jerk.
Oh no.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Did Josh slap you
Yeah.
in the face?
See, I remember my idea was like, it was an anger type thing. Like, you kicked me in the face, and then it was just like an instinctual thing that like I hit him. But like,
This is the beginning of the end
kind
of thing.
but like,
Oh,
I
this
wish.
is good.
I snapped. What do I do?
The fact that I walked up slowly, I wish I would have did that differently. It should have been more like bang.
Yeah.
To make it look like, oh shit. But also, I like the idea of like punishing people. I should have did that more if I wanted to do that. Like kind of like how I did that to Feck. Like kind of like have whipping boys.
I love
should've-
how you played that.
Thank you.
That was
Thank
so,
you.
like when you said, "What should I do?" That was like pure panic.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I believed the character. But
Good.
what's really funny is you are both walking backstage,
Yeah.
and ain't shit back there,
No.
but another conversation. Sorry,
They don't know that.
there's a lot. There's a popcorn machine.
Right.
That's
And
actually
Dippin' Dots.
Yeah.
That's actually where we jumped you. It may look like
Yeah.
that it wasn't, but no, that was actually backstage.
No doubt about it. Yeah, so we were running through that, and like how you were saying, we shouldn't have let the hot tag go the way it is. Like looking at it now, if I was playing character, dude, if you run at me and I give you one clothesline with all the shit we had, I'm not standing up and looking at JP.
Yeah.
I'm just getting ground and pound and just throwing a
Right.
billion punches at your head. So
Right,
like
right.
clearly we were a little too match focused and like this is how a hot tag goes,
Right,
and like
right.
instead of actually being more focused on telling our specific story. But disregarding that part of it and just looking at it as a match, that was so much more fun. Like it was sick. And this is the first time in like 2 years of wrestling that Ed isn't like the focus point of what's going on at SWC, right? Like all
Yeah.
of NWW Pittsburgh, it was pretty much you main eventing and doing most of the cool shit. And then SWC up till this point was like the ground zeros where you losing the belt, getting it back, all the shit, deathmatch, Quinn, all the things. And then Steve takes the belt from you, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, what's Ed doing right now? And I guess the answer was like just helping me. Like
Yeah.
you're the only thing I got. Like even though we've been at war for 2 years now, it's like, well, now this guy's trying to take our shit, so
Yeah,
we can't
we
allow
have
that
to stay
happen.
together. Exactly.
Sorry to make you a secondary character. That was
Perfectly fine by me.
You know what? Every once in a while, even Shawn Michaels had to take a back seat occasionally. Like shit happens. So that is going to go ahead and bring us to Backyard Supremacy 2.
Day one.
Day 1. Yeah. Well, we're not going to start day 2. That's for sure.
Did we convey that there were? This is what the 6th episode.
Yeah,
now?
right.
I don't remember. Did we convey that there were 2 days to super shows?
We've talked about the fact, but we haven't spoken about it. Like,
Okay.
We've said day 1 this happens, day 2 this happens. And yeah, I guess last time I tried to go a little more in depth and we didn't even get far enough to say, but like because we're all traveling all over the place and showing up to different places hours and hours away, and we're going on a Saturday, if we're all together, we might as well wrestle 2 days.
Right,
Like, it's
right.
like, it doesn't make sense to waste an opportunity to have something like, I don't know, Andy versus Arkham or something like that after Andy versus Soy Boy happened or whatever, you know?
I feel like traditionally, though, backyard shows are always at least 2 days
Yeah.
for that reason.
Yeah,
I'm
super
sure.
shows. Yeah, you figure you have someone in from out of town, like you were saying.
Make
it's
the
like,
best of it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, let's bang both of these out, you know. Whether
Kill two
they,
birds with one stone.
I mean, yeah, maybe because like the weekends are just like weekend warriors, whether, you know, there was school on Monday through Friday or like, you know,
Yeah,
shoot
with
jobs.
that big age group,
Yeah,
too, with
exactly.
gaps
You know, like
and stuff.
weekends are like the thing. So
Yeah.
but like ground zeros were never, you know, they were always a 1 day thing.
So this is most of the people that were at BYS 2. Maybe somebody's missing. I'm not really sure. But yeah, this was the lineup. Do you guys remember the leading up anxieties to BYS 2? Were you excited, happy, sad, scared, nervous, anything like that?
Dom?
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Where were you?
Maybe school?
September 12th?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was in college.
College, yeah.
Wow, big boy. Yeah, doing music, school.
Yeah.
I wanted to be there, but I didn't live close enough, so it would have
Right.
been. Actually, that's funny because you said people drove from everywhere. It's like an hour and a half.
I'm so far away
You
now.
didn't have a car back then, right?
No, I think I got the car the second year, and it was not a car worth taking back and forth. So
I think at this point, only JP had a car, right?
J-
Other than your dad's truck,
Right,
Like
yeah.
JP had his car.
Yeah.
But we didn't even use his car. It was like his mom's car. That white Dodge.
I
that-
think like that was like
I remember
primarily
that.
his.
Okay.
You know, like it wasn't in his name, but he used it.
Yeah.
And for those that are wondering why JP was the sole one, JP was driving when we were in second grade.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a NASCAR race car driver.
yeah, he
So,
did
like,
wheeling cars, I think. And
Yeah.
then those other ones. That
So
we
the
went
fact
to.
that he got his license was kind of like a given. He was comfortable behind the wheel, where I was like, I was too anxious to learn how to drive. So like having that, best friend that was willing to drive everywhere, it's like, well,
He
I
drove
only-
us everywhere.
Yes, he did.
So you were at college doing your shit. What was it like for you?
So I remember I didn't really know who Twisted Outcast was.
Yeah.
But you told me, like, dude, he's basically like the version of you in Chicago. He's
Right.
awesome. He's, takes crazy bumps. You guys are going to be great together. Ended up having an amazing match. And I'm pretty sure me and Devin were already pretty damn close at this point. So that was just excitement to just wrestle my friend.
Yeah, and it was you met him. You didn't meet him until JAS 2, which was literally just like a month before this, maybe 2 months before.
Yeah, but we got close pretty fast.
Yeah, especially over the internet and shit. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Were you like, how were you feeling? Because, BYS 1 was so successful, but I feel like now it's like, can you do it again? How are you feeling?
I don't remember being like scared or nervous in any way. I do remember wondering if I could do what you did at BYS 1 and main event with Steve. Like, I was like, it can't be technically better. Can it be bigger? Can it be more memorable? What can I do to be different in any way whatsoever? And that was a lot on my mind, so much to the point where, like, we're getting close to talking about it, but day one against Brandon, I had nothing. Like, neither one of us had anything, but like, I was like, bro, I don't know what we're going to do today. Cause I was so singularly focused on, I have to main event tomorrow. And I had like spots I wanted to do. We had been talking about, but it was just like, this is tomorrow, but today I'm wrestling. Why am I wrestling Brandon today?
I was just going to ask that.
Would you prefer to have like someone like not Brandon, or do you think that would have made it better?
No, not after the way it went. Perfectly fine. Everything was good. Leading up to the match, though, I had no fucking clue what you're doing.
I was going to jump in and ask, do you remember like literally why Eric worked with Brandon that day? Because I remember what the idea was storyline wise, but do you remember what? Because you had just wrestled.
Me and Brandon.
Yeah, why are you wrestling him and not somebody that you even worked with?
Because the finish to me and Brandon at JAS 1 was so terribly bad because we were supposed to be having a TLC match.
That's right.
There was a belt that couldn't be hung even though they tried. Like, they thought they didn't put any effort into figuring out if it worked until it was time to have the match.
Sounds like backyard wrestling.
Right, exactly. So we go to have the match and we're trying to set everything up and we have to change everything we're doing on the fly. The finish sucked. It was boring. And like, Brandon and I really enjoyed wrestling each other and we were like, let's just try that again. I think another one of the things that it was about was like CTK outnumbered us. So I had to wrestle somebody in CTK pretty much no matter what day one. And I think another one of the ideas that we came up with was that Brandon wanted to take over this show and turn it into JAS 3.
That's right. I forgot. Because, yeah, you could even see he's holding up 3 fingers. Because I was
Exactly.
like, BYS 2, everyone hold up 2 fingers, and he held up 3. That's right. I completely forgot about that.
Exactly.
Well, I just want to jump in and answer your question. I don't really recall too much anxiety leading up to this. I was kind of like, I'd gotten out of my head. I had proven myself, I felt, and I actually felt a lot of pressure going into my match with Brandon, kind of what you had asked Rick to live up to that. Because also I didn't know Devin and I didn't know Stacy, and it's like, all right, well, now I have to like continue to
You didn't
impress.
know them yet?
No, I had met them at in Ohio.
Oh.
At the last
wow.
one.
And with that, he only had the one match against Brandon because day 2, like, he jumped off the bar and that was the whole match. Like, it was
Wow.
CTK people beating up Tony
Yeah,
Sheets.
and
Yeah, that's yeah.
but like even like that particular match, I was main eventing, and like I main evented once. And can I do it again? Can I still convey that character that I was portraying? So I'd kind of like gotten that over with. And like this kind of was more of a, like celebratory thing. It's like a rewarding feature. It's like, okay, we've been like building this for 2 years.
Yep.
And also on a personal level, this particular weekend, September 12th was my mom's birthday. And my family was away at my aunt's cottage. So I was like, okay, cool. They asked me if I wanted to come, and I was like, no, I'll stay. And I was like, hey, guys, I got an open house. Let's all stay at my house. Like, I housed you last time, and there was a little bit of an issue. Fucking whatever. And I was
Golden
like,
opportunity.
Yeah, I was like, it's perfect.
Yeah,
like,
it worked out
I think
perfect.
my parents specifically were like, we don't want anyone staying at the house when we're not there. And I'm like, how the fuck are they going to know? You know? Like, they're not there.
Right.
And so Brandon had my bed. I chilled. Like, I slept in my parents' bed. Everyone, like, feel like everyone's like really comfortable because there wasn't really that many people. Did you house Devin and Stacy?
No, I didn't.
Maybe I must have.
The only person that I housed was
Craig.
Twisted Outcast, Craig. Yeah, I picked him up at the train station at like 6 o'clock that morning. He rode in from Chicago. My dad actually drove me because I was still groggy as fuck. He was like, "We'll just roll." So we get back to my crib. It was probably like 7 or so in the morning, and we still have 6 hours until people were going to start showing up. So like, I'm like, maybe let's try to go back to sleep. And he's like a little razzed up because he's in a new place off the train. So like that really didn't happen. We just sat there and watched like Shawn Michaels DVDs for like 4.5, 5 hours straight.
Why didn't other Chicago people come?
I think Craig was just very invested. Like he saw BYS1, saw what we were doing, and he singularly decided, I'm going to Pittsburgh.
I want to point out that it was also nice. I was excited too because I hadn't seen Craig since 2007.
Yeah, because you knew him.
Yeah, he was a
Midwest,
Link
right?
guy, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, he was kind
Kinda.
of like, by the time Midwest Fest came around, I had been on ESW for quite a while that I didn't feel like I was so much of a new kid, that I was seeing new people joining, and like Midwest Fest, the Chicago kids were new. Like, it's so like, I kind of like knew him in passing, but like I wouldn't necessarily consider him a Link guy, so to speak. It was like I was leaving while he was coming in, and I don't really know if he did anything with him after that, but it was nice to see him.
And I had a great time. He was the only new person that I met that weekend. I hadn't known everybody else before, and he stayed with me specifically, so I got a lot of time to get to know him. And we had a really nice weekend, just pretty much him and I. We didn't even really partake in much of the hangouts that happened at BYS2 because, like I said, we'd been up so early that day. So like we just went back to my crib, watched some of the wrestling, bullshitted some more. He was just such a nice person, very cool about being here, and like it was great to have him. So that brings us to Backyard Supremacy 2 Day 1.
Was this on September 12th or September 11th?
This was on September 12th, but the travel day would have been September 11th for a lot of people. So this show was called BYS 2 Towers.
That's unreal.
Yeah. So there's me still. My gimmick is still smoking cigarettes. I'm talking about in this scenario how FX has retired from backyard wrestling to be a professional, and Dark Star is pretty much down to just me, Ed, and Shadow. But because this is basically a CTK versus SWC / Revival, even though that name wasn't there yet, show, we needed an impartial GM.
Well, you also, here's Kevin.
Right.
He's coming out
the
to
GM
join.
storyline.
I love how he walks.
Kevin was joining Dark Star,
Right. So we brought Troy came along and we gave him the role of GM for the weekend, and Kevin.
And did Deke join Dark
He
Star?
did not, but he was just there. He was just another number for us. So
what's up with Brandon's Vato look?
So Kevin joins Dark Star, and our talking shit led to the CTK army coming down to the ring to confront us.
And Devin and Stacy had joined at one of their shows because we had met them at JAS, and they were like, "Oh, Dark Star sucks. I want to join this," and that pissed you off. But I was like, "I'm not. I mean, if they want to join, I'm not gonna. Yeah, like it only makes my faction look good for the story.
No doubt about it. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. It was just very frustrating that I went out of my way to try and, because I liked Devin a lot. I didn't really know the pen name much until JAS too. But
I had just vacated the championship and gave it to JP. I did that in a promo leading up to this, kind of as a peace offering thing in one hand and trying to keep you from getting that title.
Look at Ed pull me back. We're just about he pulls me all the way down.
Also, I want to point out that I intentionally wore a jacket just to stand out as the leader because there were so many of us. I feel like that. I'm really glad I did that because even if you don't,
Well, does that mean that Shadow's our leader?
He has to be.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it means.
But there was also a little bit of like behind the scenes stuff going on why we had Troy be the GM.
Oh,
Remember that?
shit. Who's Juggalo?
Not necessarily.
That is
Josh.
Normally
it's
Josh,
JP
but it
in
was
this.
JP for this.
Why did you
Okay.
guys choose Juggalo to be the character and not like another random?
Is this mixed match?
What is going
No,
on here?
no, this is just all the entrance. Everybody had made their entrances. This is not necessarily my favorite way to make a video, but it just kind of fell into place the way it did. And to be completely honest, all the media for BYS 2 feels like I rushed it, which is, it's probably the case. But like just watching it while I was going through this, I was a little disappointed because BYS 1 just felt bigger.
This is crazy.
Media-wise.
Whose Jekyll Brothers shirt is that?
That's a great question. Probably Josh, because it's Josh's. Oh, Josh ended up showing up. That's right. He ended up showing up, but he was late.
Right.
It's either, I was going to say, it's either Josh's or it was mine because I had that shirt.
So the idea, you also see there's Shadow Samurai, and I think we wanted Bakura as well. But the idea, we had Brandon's second character, but the idea is we started doing our moves, and then we unmasked.
Let's go.
And it's
Oh,
actually
Steve
us.
was in it.
But the idea wasn't that we were those characters the whole time. It was like I'm talking about in this. It's like, you know, we beat up these guys, and I was calling out Rick to be like, "You really booked these guys on your show?
Yep.
Like you're lucky we saved the show and destroyed them."
That makes sense,
Now
yeah.
look, when I run this company, these characters are gone. Just a way to build.
I now understand why you guys didn't answer my question as to why did you choose Juggalo?
Yeah.
Right.
They're all, yeah.
It was intentionally the masked characters so we could have
Yeah.
that reveal of like we needed joke characters so we could be like, this is a joke.
I'm actually wondering now. I don't know where that Bakura mask is.
Oh, I
It's
wish
gotta
we
be
did.
somewhere.
Eddie, I remember you were pretty upset about that angle happening because you were stoked that we were getting more masked characters introduced, and you were like, "Great, I'm not going to be the only one that has to be like a masked character." And I was like, "Well, actually,
Yeah, I do remember that.
yeah." Like you weren't like pissed, but you were like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I feel you.
So that was Ruben's first time wrestling. I remember he had a brace on his knee.
Yeah, right, because he had been not only that, but also at WrestleFest. And this match also, this reminds me of what Ed had talked about earlier, and I wanted to kind of wait till this match because it becomes a little more obvious. The tarps at first, whenever they were new, were great. Like through BYS 1, no tarp problems whatsoever. But we had like 10 shows on this thing now, and it's just sitting in the woods at all times, and the tarps are getting like fucking beat up, dude. And that ended up in the long run really causing a lot of issues. Like multiple shows we wrestled with the tarps on day 1 and not with the tarps on day 2 just because of how annoying it was.
We should have just got
Sliding
duct
and
tape
slipping
Right.
and
and then just
we
like
did.
add
We
stitches.
We had done that. We did that,
and they ripped,
and it
'cause,
still
yeah,
didn't work.
So we should have like sewed it or whatever.
Yeah, it was just that would have been the best case scenario, no doubt.
Oh my god, not even worth
Wow.
no.
it. Not even worth it. Like it. I mean, we love BYS too.
Tarps.
Oh, see, yeah,
Oh
geez.
yeah.
All right, another win for CTK.
So
And then the tarps are gone.
yeah, right, exactly. This match is one that even the last time that I remember talking with Devin about this kind of stuff seriously, he was still like, "I can't believe you made me wrestle Tony Sheets and Scott Brumley in a triple threat match."
Why the hate for Brumley though?
People didn't know. I
think
feel like how good he was.
Honestly, I do think it was a little more aimed towards Tony Sheets now that I'm like remembering it exactly, but he did bring up Scott as well. But it was like I had to wrestle Tony Sheets, so I'll wrestle anybody, And I'm like, well, you got to wrestle Ed Day too.
Meanwhile, Tony Sheets opened up a chain that we all know as Sheets.
Yeah, good for
and
him.
it's super popular. What a
I
guy.
feel like
I think Devin also got kicked in the head this match by Tony, and he was really upset about it.
I think also the fact that like just viewing Scott as like, who is this guy? He's big and he isn't. How good is he?
Yeah, right.
I could be wrestling somebody else.
I'm enjoying this. Though.
Boom.
Yeah, I was gonna say the whole match seems.
It was great.
It's edited, but it seems good. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Devin stood out. Look at that, another win for CTK.
Oh fuck. I remember this.
Levi
Horrible.
versus Adrian Grimm, which coincidentally I'm actually wearing professional wrestler.
This is
Adrian
Derek's
Grimm.
last match ever, isn't it? He was done after this.
No.
No?
No.
Oh shit. I swear I thought it was.
Who's Levi?
Levi is Livewire from CBYW. The first ever Beast Snow match that I saw was like a 30-minute Beast Snow versus Livewire thing. I think he was like their original like second for Brandon. But over time, I guess he took it a little less seriously, and the rest of the crew took it more seriously. 360 SSP almost. Like, he couldn't land on his back, but he could do flips like that. That was a hell of an indie kick there.
Like, he had potential. I mean, he's athletic. And I've said, if you have athleticism, you know, that's... Look at this!
I think
that was kind of sick, though.
His lack of gear, he doesn't pass the eye test because of just the fact that he looks like he's in street clothes. Like, I feel like that
he
does
look
help.
a little bit wonky, like he's got marbles in his shoes.
That's a good way to put it.
Is this a one-on-one?
Yep.
JP versus Ketonic, and this was CTK versus CBYW, who, for all intents and purposes, like, even though we'll get into what Revival is more later, this was like Revival versus CTK. So all the other people that weren't CTK fought CTK.
Well, I would have considered CTK part of Revival had the two been... You know, like CTK was just a faction where Revival was a combination of, you know, companies. Where Craig would be the only one that I would say wouldn't have been Revival.
I disagree.
I wanted them to be. No, that was the idea. Is that it was a combination. It was like ESW, a combination of companies.
Oh no,
making one company.
I'm saying I disagree that he wasn't part of it.
Oh
yeah, Chicago was definitely part of Revival. They just didn't have enough shows.
Well, and I wish that they would have come to more of our shows. But at this, you know, like that's kind of why, like. Chicago got tagged as
JP's amazing at bumping.
That's all he does.
Oh, look at this! I wonder if they're gonna
that was
wrestle
sick.
soon.
Boom.
It's over.
All three of them boys. Oh no! What? What? Oh no!
That was sick.
Oh gosh,
This is the coolest Ron I've ever seen.
that was cool.
Yeah, that was very good.
Son of a gun! Are you kidding me? CTK lost.
So he beat JP, and he's like, since I beat this dude, I want the dude that has my company's belt.
Well. In hindsight, JP should have won. Because then he could have blamed Josh for costing him the match.
Yeah, maybe.
What does he have to prove now? He just beat JP even with, like, he just is proving that Josh...
I feel that, but look at it from the Caleb perspective where, like, he's challenging for a belt. Like, if he gets beat by JP, he has no business winning the next day.
Right. Didn't he, like, super kick him after that?
He did, but he missed. So it got cut, but he did.
That was good because they both did super kicks.
Yep.
I remember.
And that's the whole reason that match got booked. We'll talk about
Look
it when we
at
get
that!
there.
Holy shit, Josh. DC Doom, rather.
DC Josh. And so another thing I want to talk about is the BYS1 episode just dropped, and a lot of the people that we're talking about on this episode tuned in and they saw what we had to say and they interacted with our show. So I'm sure by the time we get to BYS2 here, they'll be watching this one and interacting with us again. So, like, let's just make sure we tell them how bad they all suck.
No. Thank you for commenting. It's nice to have that, you know, second opinion from the outsider standpoint. It's nice to get, you know, what they thought. You know, didn't Josh say he DC apologize?
Yeah, essentially.
That's nice.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't have to do that.
Absolutely.
In fact, I told him not to do that.
I feel like DC Doom looks a lot cleaner in this
He looks
match.
great.
Yeah.
You see why I was so stoked to wrestle him at JAS 3.
That's why I kept putting him over. I kept booking him in this shit because I saw a lot of shit that he could do. So this almost killed Nutter. This was that was real. That was so real.
I believe it. There's really
That was fake.
The thing is with low blows, like kicks, you can't really like pull them.
That angle was kind of cool.
That's why I never was comfortable doing them because I'm like, well, what if I miss?
Yeah.
But like if you do like the arm, the uppercut, you can completely whiff it.
Yeah.
You know, just the visual. But like kick, that's all angles.
You graze the sack.
Yeah. And like you kind of like get it like in the corner of your
It's safe.
elbow. You don't really. That's not where the contact.
And
is.
then you ask him to cough.
Right.
And then
What the hell was that?
That was the Ram Jam, bro.
Oh, shit.
Specifically, I never understood why James tucked his gear. He
Nice.
clearly says James Nutter on it, but Jam Nut is what it said.
Great point.
Jam nut. That sounds like a really good product to put on my sandwich.
Yeah.
Something like that. You can put
That was very, very clean and nice.
Oh, I thought JP was running in. No, he should have because that's another loss for CTK. Which anybody that's watching this, we did not. That wasn't a conscious thing. It wasn't like, hey, CTK needs to win this. They need to win this. It's just like, hey, who do you
In
want to win?
fact, I booked all these shows. I almost never told anybody who should win.
Right.
It was always you guys decide what you want to do.
Yeah, I guess it was. I remember that.
Yeah.
In hindsight, though, if we were this storyline driven, we should have probably had a little bit more input.
Maybe.
Just based on like
On the fly, watch this. Craig just decides randomly. He's like, all right, dude, this is the spot we're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I was not told about this or aware of it, and that fucking hurt. My head hit that fucking wood hard as shit.
That was on the fly.
It looked awesome.
Yeah, that seems like something you should plan.
Yeah.
It's always the things. Oh, we put the tarps back on.
He would I remember him being like very stiff, which is fine. And I also remember him being like very like aggressive. Like
good intensity.
Right.
It looks it.
When he does his move to me on the ramp, you can see me hesitate. I wasn't ready, and he doesn't give a fuck.
Right.
He just picks me up. It's great for TV, but
yeah.
But for
not so much for my body.
Right. Yes. So this camera angle here that we just switched to is actually really cool. We just found tapes with BYS 2 footage on it like a couple days ago. So this was the angle from that camera I was able to yank off and see some new angles of this stuff like that. Wow. That was something that we had never seen before from that angle.
So you re-edited this?
Yeah, I just threw some stuff together.
Oh, wow. Is it still like the music?
No.
And this was filmed on tape?
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell the quality took a dive.
Yep.
But we still haven't figured out whose camera that was.
What are you going to do here, Ed?
By the way, I love this match, and I remember watching it constantly after it happened.
Yeah, it's good. Greg is great, and so are you.
Yeah,
you guys meshed really
this
well.
Is a great. See the no-sell, it's amazing.
I feel like this match
Watch
is why
this.
Ed ultimately retires.
You're like, no.
But see, I'm not ready right here, and then fuck you.
That's great.
And he really got you around.
Yeah.
He didn't hurt
knowing
me.
your
That was,
ability.
he protected me.
I think I definitely had that angle because I remember laying it down. Look, JP has a camera too.
Yep.
Huh. I remember recording this. I just don't remember whose camera this was. It looks like it was mine, the quality, but then some of the, like you said, the night vision was.
Well, so that ended up not being on this. That must have been a different angle.
Yeah, I want to say that was maybe Snow's camera.
Could be, yeah.
Snow, can you confirm or deny that your camera had
night vision?
Look, that was ridiculous.
So sick.
So that is a leading contender for some
I
superlatives for
remember
me.
taking that bump.
Taking a
This
seat.
match is amazing.
It's very good. It's very, very good.
And one of the things I noticed in this match, Craig throws a line, and maybe in this match that you
spirit.
duck. And like it looked like if you didn't duck, he would have taken your head off.
Yeah.
Craig has that intensity, that believability, and that's great.
Yes.
Very much
Not
agree.
a lot of people, like some people like kind of whiff it. Where like I know I'm not going to make contact with this clothesline, so I'm not going to make it look like I'm trying. Craig has that it factor.
Well,
Yep.
I see what you're saying. Like, and I feel like he was the first wrestler that I ever wrestled that was like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was another like new thing to me. I was like, oh shit, this
Yeah.
is how it happens
Yeah.
sometimes.
So great match. We loved it. Everybody there was losing their shit for it. Definitely the best match of the day up until that point. So this is me and Brandon. This is the match we started talking about earlier, and how I said I had nothing, right? Like, so through most of this day, Brandon and I kept looking at each other like, what do you want to do, bro? And the other person would be like, I don't know. What do you want to do? And we just kept going back and forth with that. So eventually I was like, all right, come with me up to the apartment, right? So he rolls up to my crib. We turn on some backyard wrestling music videos that I have laying around just to try and get an idea. And the second thing that I click on is Ricky Crash versus Daniel Makabe from BYE5. And if you look at me and Brandon, I mean, like,
I remember this story.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so we looked at each other and we're like, do you just want to do that? Brandon's like, yep. So we literally just, it's obviously our version. It's not spot for spot, but the story that they were trying to convey and the ideas that they had, we were like, we're just going to take their story and put our match to it.
I believe Brandon and Tyron also did that for their match. They did Rusty and Andy.
They did, yeah. And they were asking me, like, they took me backstage and they were like, do you remember what spots happened, what order, how they went about doing some of the stuff? Yep, they absolutely did.
So this was sorry, Ed. He intentionally did that because he was my protege.
Right.
This was before smartphones, and I say we also fixed the tarps. We did the stitches gimmick.
Yep.
You said you watched the footage? How did you have a smartphone?
No, we went up to my house, I said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
look
that-
at
So you're
that.
copying Makabe and who?
Makabe and Ricky Crash from BYE5.
Makabe is so good.
So good.
Nothing but love for Dan.
Ooh, nice.
Did you get poison ivy?
No, I did get those little fucking purple things all up in my
awesome.
hair.
Is it in your butt right now?
Yes.
I always
that
worry.
was sick.
I don't know if you want to jump back or whatever, but if you watch it back, the way you bump, you don't throw your arms out timed, very well. And I was super worried you were going to break your arms. And every time I see that, I worry about that. And I see I'm recording right there. So yeah. It's actually my camera.
Yeah, so I didn't use that specific camera for this because this music video was already together.
Yeah, right.
What do you call that move?
Head scissors pile driver, kind of.
Good enough.
Snow 450.
I forgot about that.
He's working your arm as well, too, because you're
This
lariat.
match slaps.
Right.
Yeah, this is sick.
Yeah, and for a long time after
Tap
that, a lot of time after this, Nutter said that like me and Brandon was one of his favorite matches he saw with our like revival.
Now, Josh didn't wrestle this day? He's not dressed. I assume it's
Another
his
power
Oh,
trip.
look at that.
Yep.
But he's here.
Josh did not wrestle this day, no.
He probably showed up earlier than
Right.
he thought and just wasn't in the zone.
Yep.
Wow, you went over at home.
I had to.
I didn't expect that.
I had no. Well, I was tomorrow against Steve.
So that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like in hindsight, knowing what we were building towards, we should have had a CTK clean sweep until our match. Which spoilers, but I think that would have meant more if you won.
If we did screwy finishes, like
I'm not saying win clean.
Right.
What
But
is CTK's ultimate goal?
At this point, to take over the company, like 'cause,
Okay.
it's like we are the best.
All the
like,
belts.
we are going to take over and rebrand it, and it stems from the idea of ETW invading. But now it's become bigger than that, and now it's like the best of the best, essentially.
Speaking of best of the best, best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. We are gonna go and do an Iron Man match here.
That was a we had reservations for Permanis.
Yeah. Yes,
and,
we did.
We had the idea to do an Iron Man for some reason, and I think it was just like my way just to screw with you guys. Like, oh, let's do an Iron Man. I was like, that'd be funny.
Yeah, 30 minutes. Not a full 60-minute one, which is good. But honestly, the music video does not do this match justice, and it's just because it was very long. Like, it just...
Right.
It was great live. I remember loving it.
A half an hour is a long time, and like you can clearly see that these guys are doing some amazing shit that we all really love for like the first 25
Then you're
minutes of the
just
match.
burnt out.
And then by the end of it, it's like they had done so much cool stuff that they didn't know what else to do, and we didn't know how else to cheer, and like we were ready for it to be over by the time it was over.
Right.
But watching this back and just clipping the stuff and just seeing spot for spot some of the insane shit that happens in this match, the justice is not done by the music video at all.
I remember. Well, yeah, you had said that you had rushed because day one was just kind of filler,
Right.
But I remember watching the music video. Okay, at this point, like we're teasing because it was like Steve, everyone's joining CTK, so like let's do like a tease where like we're not actually gonna do an Iron Man and you're gonna lay down for me and I'm gonna win. But no, it's a work.
Yep.
Like you're pulling one over on me. That was that idea there. Just like he was like goading me. But I remember in the music video you had written that it was an Iron Man, but at no point did it. Look at that! Oh my god! I did a bump as if he was gonna let go of me, but he didn't.
Right.
But like it didn't have like the scoreboard.
Right.
And so you wouldn't really know it was an Iron Man.
Yep.
But it's funny because I specifically wanted to protect my loss.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I've lost up until this point.
You haven't, no.
Okay.
I mean, you haven't had enough matches to lose.
Well, I mean,
but
even including WrestleFest 9, I don't think I did.
you won. Yeah, you
in
won.
both of them. So I was protecting that loss. So I was like, okay, well, that makes sense then. You would just introduce this member of Dark Star.
Right.
So now it's like, well, maybe you'll pin me finally, but...
Oh
my God! That.
That's what I'm saying,
What
man.
the
Like, this
fuck?
match was lost to history just because it was so damn long.
That was literally perfect.
Yeah, it was.
That was cool.
Yep.
That was cool. The
Double
double
line,
line,
kip
kip
up,
up,
double
double
line.
line.
Yep.
Whoa, synchronicity.
Yep.
That was really cool. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to steal that. I don't know if I can keep up anymore. But it's funny because like we intentionally wanted to build to the fact that like, oh well, maybe Steve doesn't like he finally gets pinned, but he might win the match.
Yeah, right.
So we intentionally go 0-0.
Yep.
I didn't know that's how Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart went. I
Yeah,
had not
right.
seen that. I thought I was being so clever. I did not know that the very first Iron Man match had the same gimmick in mind. So yeah, I guess at the end of the day, the idea of the scoreboard just would have said 0-0, but
Right.
it would have made more.
I feel you, and I think because of the 0-0 is
You
the
felt-
reason I didn't do it. Just
Jesus Christ!
yeah, insane. This match needed more eyes on it, no doubt about it.
As if the table wasn't high enough, he put the ladder on the table.
Yeah.
We got here a little further down the spiral or
Yeah.
whatever. And even as we're watching
That
it
was
right
on
now,
the fly. That whole spot was on the
That's
fly.
sick.
Like I'd seen the ladder set up, so I'm like, okay, whip me here. I'm gonna jump here, and like Josh jumped off, because he didn't know, and like that really gave me an unsturdy base there. But I'm sorry, Rick, what were you gonna say?
No, you're good. Even as we're watching this right now, like you find all of us getting a little lost in what's going on. We're just staring at it. It's like, damn, these guys are still doing stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I remember feeling like that in the moment. Like, holy
Wow. That looked like it actually kind of hurt your back.
shit, this bump's crazy. He does like a handspring off of it.
Oh,
Look
my
at that.
God.
Craziness,
How strong
man.
you got to be to do that?
Yeah, Kevin.
I feel like I may have told him to do that because he had
Craziness.
never done anything like that before.
Yeah.
So I probably told him just do
Oh
a backflip
man,
with
I
me.
love the ladder support. It just looks
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah.
6:30.
No, the exact opposite. He was trying to put over a swanton around this time. Jeff Hardy snorts coke or
Yeah,
something.
he literally just got arrested for the drug paraphernalia. You can see the sun is setting,
Yep.
Yeah.
getting darker. We are not prepared.
And
There
that
we
was
go.
so that was not time. That was at 0 seconds. So
We ran out, yeah.
And there was no carryover. It was just a tie, right?
No, I want to say we went into sudden death.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I didn't know that Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels did that.
Gotcha. Okay, so that was the
that
finish
was
then.
the finish. And it was
Okay.
finally like so they went into sudden death, and the one pin did it. It wasn't like the timer ran out at 1. It was like, okay, next pin fall wins.
Gotcha. BYS 2 day 1. Any thoughts? What did we like? What did we not remember? Maybe.
Well, real quick, right there at cut. I remember I cut like a little promo talking about like putting. Like I called you out and I'm like, we have your belt tomorrow. We're gonna have your championship, and I was like selling that I was exhausted. I remember you pulled me up and we got eye to eye. I remember you smacked me and like just on the fly.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
really cool. But
Yep. So, any thoughts on BYS 2 day 1?
It was awesome. A lot of this I didn't remember, and it was great watching it.
Yeah, right. You weren't there for it at all. Do you remember like?
I've seen some of this footage because it looks familiar. Probably a lot of your match, but I definitely don't think I saw the one that you were involved.
Me and Brandon,
in.
yeah.
And that was really cool. I guess looking at it, I really do wish I was there because it just looked like a lot of fun, and it also looks unpolished.
Yeah.
Like because when I look at BYS 5 videos, I'm like, everything's just been there, done that.
Right.
This is like. It was dope.
well, not to kind of divert the idea and the conversation. Do you recall watching footage as it came out, even though you weren't really involved per se, but you clearly still had an interest?
You know what? I had to have been seeing this stuff constantly, whether from you or Josh or maybe even Rick, but I would always get my eyes on it. But I've been following the SWC channel for forever. And
cool.
I would actively go and look for what you guys were doing because I wasn't there.
Right.
But I remember seeing stuff on Josh's hard drive, and I even have stuff on mine of just some of my own full matches. So
wow.
I was definitely involved to the point where I was at least trying to access media for watching it. I had no interest in editing or anything.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely wish I was fucking there. It looks dope.
It's funny watching that and just watching that match and like, oh, I don't remember taking that. I don't remember doing that. I definitely see why I don't do that type of stuff now and why I feel the way that I do.
Absolutely.
Hearing that growing up, it's like, oh, you're going to feel that when you're older.
Yeah. You always think like all I got to do is walk away, dude. If I walk away, how can it be that bad?
No one thinks about the long-lasting terms.
I just never thought that they would come, and like I'm like having the
always
realization
come.
of like that day that I was always warned of is like here.
Yep.
So much pain right now that
Terrible.
I just can't get my neck to crack.
Yep.
I see why. It's just
Yep.
like that wear and tear. It's like, man, I would really wish that I could go that hard, and also like the politics of pro wrestling. I can't do that. I have to play to my where I'm booked. Like,
Yeah.
I can't outshine the main event, which
Absolutely.
is kind of nice to like know that I have,
We never
bumpers,
thought of, so even that's something that I was going to talk about. That we never thought about that at
No.
BYS. It was all not even BYS, but any super show. I'm going to have a match with X, and we are going to steal the show. And Steve's going to have a match with Y, and they think they're going to steal the show. And then
Yeah.
Ed's going to have a match with Z, and he thinks he's going to steal the show.
100%.
And the crowd was there for it.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
at a pro wrestling event, the crowd's going to be dead after 2 of those type of things. And by the time you get to the third 20-minute ROH match, everybody doesn't have any more energy left to give.
Well, to jump in, I agree and disagree because, we had just talked about how exhausted they were from my match.
Yeah.
And there were times, once again, not putting myself over, not trying to say,
Do it.
with the amount of main events that I had, there were some specific times where I felt the energy was dead, and it's like, man, I would have much rather have had this match mid-card.
Yeah.
But just the idea of like the main event, you go hard and whatever, you don't think about how other people are going to perceive it because you're just so focused on what you're going to do and how hard you're going to go, and you don't realize that like you flow, like you feed on that energy. So I do feel that like sometimes
I
matches
feel like
are
though
pretty dead.
you made me think of something by saying that. When that happens, and like, okay, so if I'm before your match, or no, if I'm after your match, and you fucking kill it, right?
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. If you're a wrestler and you're in that environment, and you're like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do now? Is that spot that I just thought of gonna be good enough? Am I gonna,
what you brought up a great point, and we will talk about
that.
We're getting real close. it's funny that you had the same thought.
Same.
Well, we're on a nice stopping point, so we can chill here for a minute, take a deep breath.
I suck something.
Everybody got their mic in position. Everybody good. We're ready to reset here. I got mad drip.
I'll get it.
I don't want you to think I'm an animal.
We need 1 second.
No,
Okay.
we don't. I cleaned it up already. That's me. Here, like
I
that.
feel a little self-conscious about my sweaty pits.
That's the algorithm.
Nothing happened. No one ate food off the ground. We're ready. Hey, that's you.
You should have said like that real quick. Stop. I'm self-conscious about my wiener.
I like it.
It's my fucking brain, dude. Give me
Yeah, right? I'm the way I am now because of that.
And we are Backyard Supremacy.
I didn't know we ever left.
Oh, that's clever.
That was good.
Day 2.
Day 2. Fuck, dude, Ed, you should just be the host from now on, bro. You're prettier. Everybody likes you more.
Real quick, I remember we went to Permanis after that.
Right, yeah.
On 51.
Yep.
And JP had showed up with the belt that I had just given him, and he had already established I'm the champ because of the music video we did. And he had a belt, so it was like, oh, champ's finally a champ. And he was doing that out in public, and I was like, that was like the height of my paranoia. Like, I'm wrestling. I've only been doing that for like 3 months now.
And now he's drawing attention from other people that may be
public.
wrestlers.
And somebody there was the girlfriend of a local worker.
Oh, no.
What?
And I nearly shat a brick, and I didn't know that. I simply see JP, like, he's like, yeah, I'm the champ. And then I look over and I see him like talking, and he's like pointing like to Josh and me. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what's that all about? And he goes, oh, she's dating a wrestler. I'm like, you asshole! Why did you single us out like that? He's like, I didn't tell them you were like backyarding. I'm like, well, you were there with the belt and you singled it. Like, I don't know what he said to this day.
Yeah.
But like at that point, like I said, I wasn't stressed. That moment, I was just like debuting again at BYS one. Like I was like, fuck.
Yep. I definitely feel that. BYS 2, night 1. I wasn't really into the hangout scene at this time. So, like, I did go to Permanis. We were all there. Craig wanted to eat there, too, and shit. So, we all went, and then I went straight back to the crib. Did you guys all go to your house, too?
Probably. I don't really remember it too well after that. Now it's actually just thinking.
There was, like, a scenario where Devin and others went to Southside.
They went to Carson Street. I didn't go.
Yeah.
Okay, all of this sounds familiar. I think I came home on the weekend because I remember being at Permanis, unless you went more than once. And I also remember walking with them specifically on Carson Street.
And there was a story about drunk girls.
Sure,
Devin kept calling them dead bitches or something like that.
There had to have been. I know that we went our separate ways on Carson Street because they were kind of exploring, but it's so funny that you guys bring this up. Either I didn't come to the show because I was doing something else, or I did come home at some point because all of this sounds familiar.
I feel like he was actually there for day 2. I feel like I took one of your moves.
Maybe.
Spoilers. I might be wrong.
So we'll look into it. I don't remember.
But I want to say I was like stoked that like some people
God.
went downtown because like then it was just me and my girlfriend at the house. Like I had the house to myself.
Yeah.
And we slept.
As soon as Rick is
watched
about to
Scrubs.
hit play and we're going to figure out what happens on day 2, it'll cut and go to an ad.
Why?
Because YouTube.
Money,
We finally have built
money.
anticipation. We have no idea what's about to fucking happen.
And now here's an ad just organically.
That's me.
So that is Livewire, the guy that wrestled Adrian Grimm the day before, and it is his birthday today. Somebody from CBYW or Indiana or somebody from that group was
I
like,
remember
birthday
this.
chops.
Oh, that was me.
Oh, that was you.
That was me.
So he caught birthday chops, and JP ended it with a giant back chop. I don't remember why.
Because that was always his thing. He thought that he could do like the hardest chops. It was always to his back. to
Josh
his
got
back.
really excited because he's like, I'm a trained chopper.
Yeah.
And then he rips the shit out of his nipples.
Shout out to Levi to like take it though. You know, like look at this. Okay, so we got Shadow and DC Doom and Twisted Outcast.
Yes. Story of how this match came to be was I was trying to decide how to get Doom and Shadow other opponents because I definitely didn't want them to wrestle each other.
Right.
And Craig, being the fucking man's like, I'll just put me in a match with both of them. And
Yeah.
I'm like, deal. Like
But he was wrestling later though, right?
Yeah, right.
He double worked.
Yep, double worked. And for the benefit of not only the show, but for them too, and for me to make my life easier, he was just like, just put me in the match.
I am at this day. I remember the tent.
Really?
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that.
Well, the 10th was
back.
also at BYS 1.
Oh, no. Maybe I'm not there.
I don't know. We'll see.
It's coming. But
It'll all come down to my match with Rick. If you're there,
Yep.
well, I think CTK was banned from ringside for that match.
they were supposed to be, yeah.
I think that was the idea.
That was a big elbow.
Okay, so we had also missed. Okay, so, I guess did Troy come out and Troy's the GM for this show?
Yeah.
Did he do that in day one?
Yeah.
I already forget my
Yeah,
memory.
yeah,
Look
we
at that, that
talked
was
about
cool.
it. Yeah, so this was just another terrible booking that I gave Shadow.
I can't believe you.
That was cool.
You do know hell exists, right?
Yeah, dude, I've been going there the longest time. Some of the stuff that Ed made me do back in the day, dude,
Big
I've been
facts.
fucked.
It's like, what did I do? Was it wrestling or was it something else?
We can't talk about it.
We'll talk about how we can't talk about it.
Oh, that's a bit oxymoronic.
It's
that
like
was
Fight
cool.
Club.
That was cool. I feel like he did that to.
Why is his head like right up in the crotch?
What wouldn't yours be?
Oh
Yeah.
my God! Look, I'm back.
Super. No, you're not. Pablo
No, that-
Lopez.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
you
my
didn't
cousin
unmask.
is. My bad. I like the red shorts. That's his little switch up from the gray sweatpants.
Yeah.
I think that's Super Phoenix's Super Show look, right? Like
Yeah.
he had to show up.
It's funny. I noticed that earlier. The gray sweatpants were just what you wore in your day-to-day life, and it was like you were gonna do a whole different character, but not put that much into it. So I get it.
Did Tony
I
Sheets
remember
become
this
a
a lot.
poet at some point in his life?
I get a friend request from him on a new account every 6 months. I swear to God. Anthony
that?
Sheets send you a friend
Oh,
request.
So the answer is yes.
He must be something. Yeah, I feel like he did
Ooh.
do some writing of
Yeah.
some
That was a
sort.
hell of a bump there from Old Soup.
Old
So
suit.
why did this match happen?
Just to not have Ed double work and not have to be super serious, but also to give Tony Sheets somebody. It's the same reason why the last match
Do you
happened.
think that maybe Ohio brought too many people?
No, I think we had certain stuff planned that had to happen, like this match and
Right,
some other
right.
things, that it just got down to the end of it, and it's just like, these are just who's left. And
Okay.
it's unfortunate that that's what it is, but we had stuff that needed to happen.
Is this the match?
This is the Josh versus Katonic match, where I said in the BYS 1 episode that I told Caleb to kick him, and that is true, but I didn't tell him to do it like that. I didn't say kick his fucking head off, but what I did say was, this match, I like you guys both doing the super kick, so whenever you win, I want you to do the super kick. And Caleb was known for kind of kicking the shit out of people whenever he would drop them.
See, I said that earlier to Josh that I love that he did that, and that wasn't like a personal thing. Like, oh, I'm really glad you got hurt. The whole point to this match, I don't know if it conveys into super. Like,
Yeah.
they're teasing the super kick, right?
That's
Right. great,
They're building
yeah.
it up. So by the time Caleb does it, he should knock his doors down.
Right.
Like, that makes sense.
Right.
Like, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker too. He hit that tombstone and Taker jumped higher than he ever. And they're working each other's legs.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, when Caleb is finally going to do this, he knows he has to go all out because he knows it's going to take out his leg.
Yep.
So he has to blast. Like, I thought that was planned. I
Right.
thought Josh was like, all right, yeah, you're working my legs. You got to like really make this
Here it
count.
comes.
I just want. Oh God.
And no,
God.
that is the legit reaction right there. Like, I was shocked, and Josh had a bloody nose, and I was like, are you okay? And I feel like he wasn't quite all there. Or didn't really want to break kayfabe.
It was a hell of a shot.
He doesn't like to do that.
Yeah,
he
like,
definitely
didn't know.
doesn't. Yeah,
I think he said, "Did it look good?"
it looked really good. Really
Yes.
So this match was my one critique, that it was clearly CTK versus CTK. I was like, oh man, I wish this match didn't have to happen like that on this show.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. It's not a big deal, because it could also go into the, we are showing we're the best. And we even conveyed that in that one promo where I gave JP the belt. I'm like, oh, look at that. Like, he has to book CTK versus CTK because he knows it's... Oh!
You guys were like half of the people, too.
Yeah, right.
And that's the thing, too.
More than that.
But, like, okay, so for example, like, these two guys, if you were, like, looking at, like, who's in CTK and who isn't, like, both of these guys, like, could have worked with, like, DC Doom or Cody, and that would have... We would have got 2 Ohio guys not working each other, and 2 CTK guys not working each other. But I guess they really wanted to work each other, work with each other rather.
Right.
Now the idea was, they came up with this idea that they wanted to do like a false finish, and like they're like, we want you to come in and say like, no, that doesn't count, and it was a really like contrived idea, because they had somewhere they wanted to go with this.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, cool. I guess it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
In hindsight.
Okay, here's this though.
Wait,
1 second.
oh my god! Yes.
The Rick Blur.
Here comes the blur. Wasn't that my
Sonic the
avatar
Hedgehog.
For the
forever?
longest time, yeah. That's a very popular clip in the Hack Edgerman household.
In hindsight, okay, now you see they're building to this crescendo.
Oh,
right?
is this the...
Oh my god! Didn't they redo this again with Freak Boy?
No,
Devin, right?
no, they didn't. They went back here to tease it, but they
Oh,
didn't
that's
do
right,
it.
that's right.
So this doesn't happen.
This,
No, this does.
No,
does.
this one.
Okay.
This was the whole point.
This
to
is
why
fucking insane.
They wanted this match to continue.
Yes.
Okay. So
Oh my god.
they're building to this. This is like that moonsault off the JAS shed.
Yep.
Why is the quality so bad?
Because I downloaded it from the Indiana camera because I didn't have full.
Oh.
We're
Just
gonna see
recently?
a replay anyway. Yeah. But yeah, so I knew about this tree stand. Obviously, the outsiders didn't.
I had no idea.
I'm having major
Why was it
flashbacks
there?
here. Like, I remember this so
Honey.
vividly. Fucking ridiculous. Devin's like, oh my god, my friend's dead.
Oh, he almost broke his arm.
Yeah, he threw his arm down first. Yeah.
Pause.
That was awesome. Why was the table there?
He was so
Because I want to talk about this.
I do too.
mean, it doesn't.
No, I feel you.
Table was there just for that reason. They knew that they were building to that.
Oh, I thought maybe you guys had picnics back there.
Yeah,
No, they- I
absolutely.
guess- I guess-
the deer had picnics. The tree stand was there to set up a deer picnic so he could take them out.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
so
Makes sense.
if you didn't know, we kind of like surprising one another. Like, I didn't tell you that Kevin was going to tease that he was joining TTK. I didn't tell you it was good. Like, we was all kind of like working each other. Like the boys were the marks.
Right.
So you had to kind of like swerve them. And like, that was a big thing, was trying to swerve one another.
Right.
So you kind of like kept it secret. And that's what they were doing. They were keeping this secret. And they knew they wanted to get to this point. But I guess they didn't really know how they wanted to do that.
Uh-huh.
So by having me coming in there and saying like, oh, that doesn't count. And I think they said they wanted me to say that like someone's foot was on the road, like JP's foot was out of bounds or something like that. And it clearly wasn't. And I was like, this is so fucking stupid.
But you weren't like super aware of the big picture.
I didn't know where they were going. with
I
this. I
see.
just knew
Yeah.
they wanted the match to continue.
They didn't do you any favors then.
No.
And that's another thing that we'll get to a little bit more here in a minute. But we didn't do a good job of flushing out what we wanted to happen specifically. Like, it was always like, hey, you just come out here and say this real quick. And then they're like, okay. And nobody asks any questions and they just do the stuff. And then, like, it doesn't always work the way that your mind's eye saw it happening. But for this spot in particular, I remember the week leading up to the show, I hit up Stacy and I was like, hey, I got a thing. And I'm not going to tell anybody else about it. And I'm giving you first dibs. So if you want it, it's yours, but if not, I'll maybe tell a couple other people and see if anybody else wants to do anything.
You didn't want to do it?
Didn't really work for me.
Sick Rick, the kid with the hot bars,
I can
climbing
see
up
it.
there.
Just a little jump.
Dude, I don't even go down water slides because I'm not walking up the steps to get there. Like,
Okay.
And we know, Dom, you wouldn't do it because your mom wasn't here to tell you that you'd buy you a
That
belt.
is
so.
true.
So, okay,
Yeah,
so
right.
that's
I'm not.
two of
I'm
you guys
not climbing that ladder.
Not that ladder.
So
No.
before I even told him what it was, he was like, I'll do it. Like, so I'm like, well, there's a tree stand. I'll do it. I'm like, it's like 10 foot high. I'll do it. So like he shows up and like, you guys are all talking. Everybody's talking. And I notice an opportunity and I'm like, like, Stacy, come with me. So we walk over. I show him what's going on, and he's like, I fucking love it. We build the setup, and this has been sitting there since day one, and it's now the middle of day two whenever it finally gets played.
I remember JP said he wanted Stacy to spear him off of it, and Stacy was like, no, which I don't know how logistically that would work.
That's what I was like, yeah, how do we do that?
You need a running start to do a spear.
But I mean, like, I suppose there's like a flat part up top, and maybe that's what JP wanted, but one that would have been way too high, because that would have been, like, significant. Like, Stacy didn't go up all the way.
Correct.
And, you know, just...
He was still nervous. You could see, like, he took his time. He started a couple chants.
Yeah, and also I think, like, Stacy... Like, JP was like, I think he just wants a spotlight. Like, that was JP's thinking. Like, because, like, if JP took the spear, then it was JP and Stacy's spot.
Yep.
Where Stacy doing the swanton and JP moves, then it's just Stacy's spot. Like,
Absolutely.
I think that's what he said, but it's like, man, I really wish we would have worked that better, but, you know.
I mean, for what it was, though, it's still extremely memorable. I remember it happening in front of my face, and watching on camera and hearing the reactions. It's all, it's pretty much burnt into my memory. So thank you, the pen name, for putting your body on the line for us and BYS too.
And then I'm like, oh, maybe now we can play with this, Rick. I start climbing up. I'm like, look, get some ideas going.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, it's over. Hey, Ruben.
Yeah, I know. I'd never seen one of those before. I had no idea what that was.
Is it still there?
No.
No?
For a while, they took the bottom half of the ladder off of it, and then it was just gone.
Okay.
So
Thanks,
here
Obama.
we have Hack Edgerman versus Devin Bliss. If I'm not mistaken, you are like Devin's favorite person to wrestle ever.
Yeah.
You really enjoyed wrestling Devin.
And this was like a nice break from the mayhem of the day before. Like, I get to just have a wrestling match.
Yep.
I don't have to die.
So this was to scratch the itch that we were supposed to get with Devin being involved in that out-of-towner four-way.
Absolutely.
Now, finally, Eddie and Devin are working with one another.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Also, Devin wearing Jason Fierce's
Right.
trunks and my kick pads, but he has red tights, and I've never quite understood why people wear shorts over tights.
Yeah.
Just wear the tights.
Right. I think his legs were probably a little hairy. He hadn't shaved them. He was
wear the tights.
He was
Such
conscious
a
of
clean
that kind of
SSB.
stuff.
Brutal.
Yeah.
I remember feeling that one.
And a little more like depth on this is Devin left Darkstar.
He's so strong.
Yeah, true. This is Dark Star versus CTK, but also I noticed Craig is recording, and so is Josh.
Yep.
So it must have been Josh's camera.
Yeah, that's a whole different resolution right there.
That's not my camera.
One of them's the Indiana camera. I don't remember. We had a lot of cameras on a lot of shows.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I remember I was so into this match. I was like, I'm fucking loving this. I want to get involved somehow.
Yeah.
So like, I'm gonna ref. I'm gonna ref.
The
This
double
is so
knee.
good. I was
Yep.
just so
My
overwhelmed. by
favorite
how
hack
good this
combo.
was.
Yeah, so
Oh. I'm like, no, I'm involved with this, Ruben. You suck. I was loving it so much that I didn't know how to handle myself. How did that feel?
Not so great.
good. You were used to curb stomps at that point, though.
Yeah, so did I.
Perfect spiral tap
God,
every
that's so
time.
good.
Every
For two
time.
at this point.
That was sick.
Are we sure this didn't go before JP and Stacy?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
The Merc.
You could tell
Oh,
just by the
shit.
lighting.
Are you
Yeah,
talking
This is when
about
I
darker
still
now.
actually did the
Hack
submission.
Edgerman
part of
had
it.
a cool down match.
Wow.
What hat? You were retiring
Oh,
next
I
year.
remember this match is fucking amazing.
So-
I remember this shit.
This actually goes back to what you were talking about earlier about how whenever you have to go on after something and you're like, is what we have planned good enough? Well, me and Steve are like, we're over.
You can see us
Yeah.
talking. We're
Yeah.
And while we're talking
Like,
about
we
our
stopped
match,
talking, we're
exactly.
watching.
Yep, that's what I was getting at. We are no longer worried about what we're doing, and we are very worried about what they're doing. I was like, I shouldn't have fucking booked this. It should have been Brandon versus Adrian Grimm today. Like,
Yo, I love how competitive you guys were, and that's why everyone had fun.
Yep.
Exactly.
Because you're like watching a match was the best part of the day.
Yep.
Because you got to sit there and react with your homies. Homies.
homies.
And I remember specifically you and I looked to one another. I remember the big deal was don't break the ladders because they're my dad.
Yeah, it's so
And like
true.
so like that was the thing is like no one could bump on them because they were my dad's shoot ladders at the
Yep.
house. And I remember they were setting up a spot and Brandon like yelled out, "I'll buy you a new one, Steve."
Yeah.
I was like,
This is sick.
"Oh my god!"
Oh my god.
I remember thinking, "You asshole! You're gonna do." You're going to do specifically what I told you not to do, but I'm pretty glad that you're going to buy me a
This
new
thing
one.
right here.
Yes.
Jesus!
Who knew that chair was
Who
there?
does
That's
that?
good. That's good. That's setting it up before using it.
That was like a top 5 favorite move right there for me.
Oh, no
That's
doubt about it.
amazing.
These guys are great. Who's Brandon wrestling?
Twisted Outcast, Craig.
We've
Guy
seen
from
him already
Chicago.
on the first day.
He wrestled Ed.
Okay,
Ooh,
yeah.
fuck.
Was he the one that was real stiff?
450
Yeah.
RKO.
I remember specifically during this match, Rick, you and I had said,
all burnt
we
now.
can't top this.
Yeah.
And then we literally started chanting, we can't top this.
Yep. No
All
doubt.
right, here it is, the
Like,
big
I
main
remember
event.
It had kicked in, and I was like, fuck.
Yep.
Wow. Brandon is such a piece of shit. All caps.
Brandon, not only did I have a great match with him day 2, day 1, he made me nervous about my day 2 match, and I fucking love him for
Is
it.
Brandon really good? Because obviously I didn't watch a ton of stuff. Like he looks like he absolutely killed it.
This is the first time where I had the chills, the jitters that you were talking about. I was like, this is happening. This is what I always wanted and what I said I could do. And right now I'm looking at him sitting down and I have to do it.
You felt that I was focal at that
Yes,
moment, not
yeah.
Steve. And I love how we started this.
Yep.
And yeah, CTK is banned from ringside. They're not allowed to interfere or I forfeit. It's just hard to convey that because there's so many of us there that were involved. That didn't really, get the reaction we wanted because it was too fluid.
Yep.
But yeah, CTK is banned from ringside.
So the thing about this match is when we were planning it and a lot of the stuff that we had planned, I was very involved in. I helped you a lot. And it became something that was a thing for me a couple times, but like there were 2 times in the match where I completely blank out, like just completely forget what's coming. And one of them was kind of important, but
That's all right.
spectacular.
Jesus.
Right there.
Wow,
So
that was
good.
perfect.
Whoever was filming loved that too.
Yep.
They shot the whole damn camera.
So this is where you start working my arm because Brandon did it.
yeah.
Look at that smile. Sinister.
I remember a lot of my shit that I
Here we
think
go.
about this match.
Oh,
Ow.
fuck! I forgot about that.
I was more confident back then in the sense of I regretted that. I'm sure you regretted that too.
Yeah, right.
I would be able to react to situations that arm ringer that I
Steve's
did.
gonna
to you.
spray paint the stage, and I no, that's SWC,
Oh,
not
shit.
CTK.
And I remember specifically to jump back, if you want to pause real quick.
Sure.
We had missed it. You had used the kendo stick on me. That was the first time that
we
was.
did. I wanted to talk about that. We missed that already.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's just how
Doesn't that go back to 07?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that up until that point, I had never head spiked in my life. That was the
I don't
first
think I
time
knew
I
that.
ever tried to do any. Ed, whenever we first started wrestling, I couldn't take a suplex.
That's right.
I
forgot
couldn't
about
do
that.
a forward roll. I couldn't
Oh,
do
here,
a
here, here.
Yeah.
You could only back
So Steve
bomb.
crushes me with that, and it's been years, and I'm finally like, fuck you, and just destroy it over his back.
The first time it had been used on me, and I know why that happened. If you want to jump back, first of all, I wish we would have had a better way for you to take control of it.
Yeah.
Because you could clearly see me hand it to you after the head. You see? And you don't bounce with it. You maintain force like a baseball bat.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm kind of disappointed it broke. But at
That's
the same
something
time,
I've
it's like
never
perfect.
Makes it
understood.
better.
It's, yeah, the story of it is incredible because you were killing me with it for 2 years.
Yeah.
And whenever I hit you so hard with it that
It broke.
broke.
Finally,
Yeah, you
first time
can't
I-
use this on me anymore.
Right.
And
Shattered it.
in my match with Kevin, I was deflecting a baseball bat
Yep.
with it.
Yep.
And yet here it is breaking on me.
Yep.
See, that was on the fly. Man, that was really glad I thought of that. That added something. Ugh. Okay, so I know we had seen this already.
Yeah, we dropped this already. Hit this spot. This sucked for both of
Yeah, I
us.
feel like it's your idea.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Okay, so at this point, this was intentionally. Oh, you want to do the reverse Rana spot, but no, finally you German me
Yeah.
where Ed and Chewy couldn't.
Right.
This is here that moment.
Okay,
so
yeah,
we're,
that
we're
makes
try-
sense.
tying up a lot of thread points in this match, almost like with every little thing
Yep.
that's big we do has a reason.
Yep. And it was it was thought like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky that the kendo stick broke and we're
Yeah.
able to add that to the story. But a lot of the stuff that happened in this match was intentional.
So that was right there. It was like, okay, CTK can't get involved, so Fokelin would have a plan. So I'd get my then girlfriend to get involved to save me.
Yep.
Because she's not in CTK. That's all that was. It's like Fokelin would have a backup plan to a backup plan.
Yep.
That's all.
big punch to the dizzle.
In hindsight, I wish you would have powered up more on the kendo stick no selling, by the way. But
Yeah.
that's all right. Best 450 I ever did.
Couldn't agree more. Perfect. Look at the
fuck.
crowd. They loved it. And after you did this,
what
not
the
this
fuck?
one.
I should have did. He was just still laying there.
So right
You
here.
told me to do that.
Absolutely, I did, and it was great. And that's whenever Craig is on the camera, mockingly says, "Oh yeah, we can't top twist an Outcast and Beast Snow." And I'm like, "Thank God he felt that way."
In hindsight, if you want to pause this so I can shed light, because that's a pretty big thing, what we just did there.
Yeah.
And it haunts me to this day. You told me to double stomp your face
Yep.
on plywood.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, this fucker knows how I wrestle.
Yep.
You know, like, I can't whiff this. Like, this is a big deal.
Yep.
So I gave everything to it, and I really regret that, knowing that you're a human being. You know, like I probably wouldn't have said no, but I wouldn't have done it as hard as I did, because I can imagine at that moment you don't know when I'm coming, you don't know when to brace for it, anything like that, and like I could have crushed your skull.
Yes.
like that's full body weight
Yeah.
on the back of your head.
So I'm going to be completely honest. Normally, I like to be a tough guy on these situations. And I have always said, do whatever you want to me. To everybody that I ever wrestled, I don't like,
Right.
I'm going to hit you. So fuck me up, please.
Yeah, clearly with how you did that back bump off that picnic table. Like
Yeah.
that wouldn't have been me. Like you would say shit like
Right.
that. But
So with this one, that fucking sucked.
I believe it.
Dude, whenever I felt the feet,
Yeah.
and then my head hit the plywood direct, like it was right in the middle of my fucking forehead, dude. It felt like that chunk of my head wasn't there anymore.
Oh my God.
It felt like it was rubbed off and it was blood and it was a hole in my head on the fucking plywood. And then I get up and I look down at it and I don't remember who it is, but somebody immediately.
It was JP.
He points to the spot
Where
because
his-
my head got like what I felt was skin ripping. I wasn't bleeding somehow. I don't know what
Right,
it was,
right.
but like it left a mark, an indent, something on the plywood. And JP immediately
Yep.
goes, "It was right there."
Yeah.
Like that shit sucked.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, knowing what I know now, I would have never done the way that I did it. You know, I would have. It wasn't worth it. You know, at the time, it felt like it was. It felt like
It felt like it was worth it to me too, though. Like I was fine with the fact
Right.
that you did that.
Yeah.
Was
It's
it
not
worse
like-
than the glass pane in your head hitting
Yes.
the back of the
Yeah.
table? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
But even if it wasn't worse, the long term effects,
Yeah.
and the possibility of how bad that could have been, it's not worth it in any way. Like I'm not kidding. I could have crushed your skull. I could have broken your neck. I could have broken your orbital bone. I could
Yeah.
have you could have severely got fucked up. And I mean that in the most sincere way.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter because
No.
look, we're already past it.
Right.
When I rewatch this, when I knew we were doing this, you know, I rewatched this and I was like, I forgot all about that. And like my stomach dropped. Like I
Yeah.
just felt so bad as a human being doing that. But at the time, it felt like, you know, like
It was necessary.
but like
It felt like
yeah,
it was
right, but,
necessary.
it's just like knowing like that's something that kind of like haunted me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, we're gonna talk about this too, and like I just need him to know that like how bad I feel about that, because you know like obviously with my history of concussions
Yeah,
and just like you know
right.
because then also you had said that you had forgotten a couple things in this match,
Yeah.
and coincidentally they were after that moment.
That's true. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah,
That is true.
You got fucked up from that, and you don't even realize it.
Right.
Yeah.
That is very true.
I'm glad you guys had the rest of this conversation actually, because it makes sense of this all now. Like this, what you guys are talking about is like the double-edged sword of backyard wrestling. Because would you say that move that you did, it's called a double stomp, right? You're saying I wouldn't have done it that way. Was that the right way to do it, like professionally?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so before you even go any further, and I'm not saying this to call anybody out, why do motherfuckers care so much about working the left when they're also willing to do something that when you look back, and you even said it, I could have killed you, right? So it's almost like you want to have your cake and eat it too, because it's like we are trying to do this like the right way, but because it's in this environment, there's a lot of wrong things we're allowed to do.
Right.
What is the like overall feeling of that?
I think it's because of the fact that like backyard wrestling had such a stigma of like trash wrestling that, you know, it's like, I want to know, okay, like this is the right and wrong way to do this. Like, I know as an American, I drive on the right side of the road, you know, like that's just the right way. Yeah, anybody can drive on the left side in oncoming traffic, but you're just going to get more detractors saying you have no right doing what you're doing. You're driving, you're putting people at risk, right? But in a moment like that, one, as Rick said earlier, there's that toughness. You said, you know, you wanted to play tough. There's always that when we're 18.
I mean, I gotta say, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm like, oh my God, don't do that.
Right.
Like, that was my favorite thing ever to see shit like that. But it's just silly to me.
But like at the same time, though, there's the aspect of wanting to pop the boys.
And that's what I was going to say. So you hit the nail on the head with the environment, like quote. It's that the people that were there and what they understood about what wrestling was is the methods that you had to use to get over with them. Mm-hmm. So what they know as wrestlers is work the left and all that shit. And whenever you prove you can do that, the next step is, what can I do that they wouldn't do or maybe wouldn't be willing to take? And whenever they see it, they're going to react in a manner that says, I would never fucking do that. I believe you guys would.
In this grand scheme of this television show that takes place in all these different universes, I know that I have my continuity within myself of what my character does. And at that point, I felt justified in what would my character do.
Hell yeah.
Given the opportunity.
Like a fight and
like with sick. Like I wouldn't do that with Super Phoenix. Yeah. Like I knew, sorry to cut you off.
No,
I knew Falkland and Sick Rick hated each other and there was a lot on the line. And we both had to look like we were fighting.
I mean, you hit 3 moves in a row off a ladder. Like, that's not very wrestling style steps.
Yeah. You had to kind of
and then that's why the stomp happened, because the first one, the 450, electric pop. The second one, moonsault, pretty good pop. Third one, Jeff Hardy snorts coke. Kind of giggled a little bit. They were like, oh, he does snort coke, and now he's down there. And I'm like, well, now that we've taken it this far and they're giggling, tell him to jump on my fucking head. We can't have them laughing at what we're doing.
It's either worth it or it's not worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
But like also I think...
But you're saying it's not.
It's not worth it.
You're saying it is.
It's not worth it from a human standpoint.
I think you are.
But like he's saying too, like when you're in the moment in front of the boys,
because it'd be like, putting an animal out of its misery.
Right.
It's hard to do. It's like it feels wrong.
Right.
So like to step on the head of another human being feels just so inhumane.
Right.
And I totally get your perspective. I guess asking Rick is more like, because of the moment, it's like, it's absolutely worth it. It's crazy to think that so much of this is worth it because we didn't die.
Right.
Like,
I'm saying it's not worth it in the grand scheme of I'm 32 years old now and I'm still wrestling, and one of my best friends could have really gotten hurt. It's not worth it as far as the life as Steve Schneider and Eric Keller is concerned. In the moment, Falkland and Sick Rick, it felt completely...
And you were in that character.
In that moment, it felt right. Just knowing what I know now, 32 years old, not 18.
At the beginning, when we were talking about our favorite wrestlers, Mick Foley.
Right.
So, like, he would probably tell you, and I think he has before, that, like, the Hell in the Cell bumps maybe weren't necessarily worth it. But whenever people started saying, you're the guy that did the sock, for the longest time, he was like, no, I'm the guy that got thrown off the cell.
I feel that, yeah.
And then, but he says at this final point in his life where he's finally at, he's, like, completely cool with being the guy that did the sock.
I feel that, yeah.
Had to. Like, look how daintily he,
Yeah. Well, Rick's probably dead at this point. I was supposed to counter that. Going in
so,
first.
okay, right there. We'll stop for a second.
Fucking missed.
He was supposed to land over the back of the chair. That didn't quite go as planned. Maybe it was a little too far away because there was a gap. There was a gap. So he was supposed to land, jump off, hit the enziguri on me. I take the head spike on it.
Blade.
And then I rolled over and bladed for the first time. And I was completely ready to do it. I had the Ric Flair hair, and I'm like let's go, dude. Like, this is the part where I'm ready for it. Honestly, I should already be bleeding a little bit. So let's see if we can make something happen, right? So I roll over, I hit the blade, and I feel it, and I'm like, we're doing good, right? I stand up, I look at Steve, I'm like, all right, what's the next spot in my head? And then he missed me in the face, canceling the blade. But I was supposed to know that was coming. I was supposed to move out of the way.
Well,
What?
did you get color?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think you were gushing
either.
Did it hurt worse then? Because
so-
it like in
No,
your cut?
no, I
okay.
didn't, no.
So you definitely weren't like gushing like
No.
I had gushed.
No.
Okay, so I thought that I completely forgot that you had gotten color at
Yes,
all.
I did blade, and it was there, and then I get up thinking, what's the next thing? And then it turns out the next thing is missed.
I know that what's coming next because I just didn't get my face stomped into the seventh ground level of hell. Okay, but so he was supposed to move and avoid it and then do something to me, right? Because he had countered it. Well, I just missed him in the face. He did not do what we were supposed to do.
So let me just point out here, if you look at the roots, you see the color.
Oh, okay.
That's the only time you can see it, but it's very clearly dark red
Right,
where the
right.
whole rest of my head is green.
Gotcha.
It's almost better that it works out this way because it just shows you that the match has effects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Like you may play on a spot and it may ruin the rest of your match.
Yep.
You know, well, not ruin, but
Right,
This is your old finisher.
That was a
that's
great
why we
spot.
did that.
Yeah.
That's why we did that.
2007 finisher. Steve went for the halo. And actually, Brumley came up with that spot the day before, and you're like, we can't do it. Rick already came up with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Big lariat. And
Finally.
That's all three of them boys, dude. Sick Rick
Wait a
is
second.
Finally, the world champion.
Wait a second.
What do you mean?
That's
What are we waiting for?
Hold on. Wait. No.
Is that the other sick Rick?
You want this?
So this is the gimmick. This is what we hired Troy to do, essentially, was to be the GM here.
For this sole reason. For this moment right here.
Okay.
Your shoulders were down.
Yep.
And like you were like your intensity. You're like, ah. Fuck. We're not.
Your shoulders were down.
Yep.
I don't want. I'm saying restart the main event. I don't want.
Restart the main
I don't
event.
want the both main events.
I don't want both. I don't know.
Bro, he's green and red and you're asking him to keep going.
So it's like, so at this point, like Troy should have like put it in Ed's wheelhouse. Like, Ed, what did we do? Like, what do you think? And Ed should be like, Rick, what do you want to do? Like, no, just take the win now. Like, live the fight another day. Could have been done, but and that's one of the things that I've learned. Okay, finally that lariat again.
You got to kick out.
Yeah.
Way too much time. Yeah.
Fuck. We should have milked this a little bit more and had gone, in overtime a little bit longer.
Maybe, yeah.
Instead of going right to the finish after one near fall.
Yep.
I should have did something to make you
I
kick
remember
out.
this.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, in hindsight, you don't even
We took
realize.
the tire out from
Yeah,
under
I
there.
wanted to specifically break the base as like a table.
Oh, shit. Nice.
Was it
like-
already broken?
No, if you go back, I'm sorry to make you do that. I'm sorry.
It's just such a pain in the ass to edit, but I'm down for it. Whatever.
I mean, it's worth it.
Go back more to the false fall. Shoulders are down. Okay, boom. Watch me. What I do is, because now I know everyone's focusing on Troy and Rick, I'm going to start talking to JP. And I'm like, JP, take the tires out underneath it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Was that on the fly or?
What's that?
Was that on the fly or
No,
you knew it the whole
I don't
time?
know. He may have known. So like JP is like casually taking the tires. You can see that's what he's
Yeah.
doing right there. He's taking the tires out to make it more.
I love
Yeah, he
that.
is.
Because no one's looking at him. Did you really not know that? Yeah.
This is the type of match where if you don't point these things out, like nobody would know.
See, like he's talking to me. He's talking to me more. I'm like, make sure you take them all the way out. I don't think he pulled them out all the way.
and they're distracted
There,
by
there,
what's happening.
Look at that. We just witnessed that. Fucking movie magic. Because I know the attention is not on me.
No, I would have
Right.
never saw it. I'm looking at Rick the whole time.
And I'm like, I think I may have said, like, put the ladder back. Look,
Yep.
look. Now the ladder's going back. No one's even noticing.
So good.
So the idea was, boom, he hits me with this lariat. I kicked out because it took so long and I'd worked his arm. First one was a fluke. Now he's going to hit his move off the ladder, which admittedly, it didn't look like you hooked me the right way. But that's all right. It didn't matter. The idea was still, you got it across.
It was just, there was not a lot of room up there.
Awkward,
Yeah.
We should have had the other one.
Yeah.
But that was the idea. It's like, oh, right there's no tires. I break it. And it's like, oh, my God, what a fucking ending. Just didn't happen. That's all right.
Yep.
Your shoulders are so close to being down.
I had that right one up.
It didn't matter that time.
And that is finally me.
With a
getting
belt.
The fucking belt, dude.
Yep.
Years of trying and having it stolen from me and people telling me I can't win my own title tournament. And then having the tournament scrapped and Fokelin coming back and sick fucking Rick is finally the champion. And Ruben says, yet again. And I'm like,
because of the false finish.
yeah, right.
Oh, what's this?
Oh no.
What?
Okay, Dom, so I guess you weren't here.
No.
So I remember telling Stacy this plan. I was like, all right, you guys are all going to turn on me. He's like, no.
Did you just get kicked out of CTK?
Yeah, there's a mutiny happening.
This is why you were so bummed out at the next Ground Zero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so I remember telling Stacy, I don't want to. I just joined the faction. I'm like, man, this is the story.
That
could've
looked
been
really
bad.
dangerous.
That could have been bad. So, like, Stacy did not want to do it at all, like, as a personal level.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you have to. Like, it's just we can't. Like, for what we're saying next.
What about it though? It's just
I don't know. He just thought wrestling was real, I guess. Yeah. Like, you're my friend. And so the idea was we didn't want everyone else to be in CTK, but, like, Josh and JP were going to remain an entity.
Yep.
So I was like, well, kick everyone out.
Yep.
I'd maybe coaching this from laying down.
And like Josh ripped his shirt off and JP's like, I don't want you. I don't want you. Josh is like, we just need a new logo.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the idea. Is like JP was taking over, and we were considering continuing the angle, but it's like, you know what? No, let's just cut the legs out. Let's just, we're not going to make other people continue our story because we weren't really too sure where it was going. So like, all right, well,
JP couldn't tell you where it was going.
No.
Right. But the idea was we could at least build on it at SWC.
Yep.
We didn't need everyone else. But the idea was to be really cool.
There's a no trespassing sign, but
That's all right.
we could walk right
That's all
past
right.
it.
They
It's
know
not
who
gonna
I
do
am.
anything
I mean,
to
if we're
stop
going
us.
back there just for like a
if
picture,
we ask the people up the hill if they mind,
Yeah, right.
then we should be fine.
Absolutely, no doubt.
that house is so obnoxious.
So that was Backyard Supremacy, talking about how we tried to break the base. And we have a piece from the original base here. Hack Edgerman saved. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it was after BYS 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, So
okay.
we missed out on showing this the first episode because so much stuff was going
I don't know
on.
if I what camera you want.
Yeah, here, I'll show it over here. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I just remember feeling like it was a very good idea to take that and get people to sign it because I had such a great time. It'd be a memory forever, and it worked out because we still have it.
It's yearbook material.
Yeah.
And this is an original piece from the first ever ETW base, even wow,
yeah, I
this
suppose,
came
yeah.
from that. B Snow signed it. FX, all the BYS 1 people. Zane has a signature on here, but this is the only piece that remains. The rest of it's in a landfill somewhere because someone built a house where we used to wrestle.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we need to go there. That'd be really cool.
I agree with that. So something I want to do here is just go around the room and get people's thoughts about what was going on here. We're going to do almost a little bit of a superlative thread. We're not going to spend too much time on it, but let's just talk about what we liked about it. First thing I have on my list here is, what was your favorite spot from the weekend of the show?
I'm going to have to go with the Craig and B Snow.
That's what I was going to say too. Yep.
It was just perfect.
Yeah.
An insane bump.
Nobody knew the chair was out there.
Yeah.
We thought they were doing some type of power bomb setup onto the chair that was in the ring. And
Was
then
that the flip?
Yeah.
Onto,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of unanimous,
Anonymous.
right?
I'm actually going to go against the grain and say Stacy Swanton onto the thing. You said that was favorite spot?
Favorite spot. Yeah,
I'd go
best
with
spot.
that,
Yeah.
just because.
Sure.
Because that only could have happened at BYS 2.
So there is something later in a superlative thread called Bump of the Weekend.
I'm
and
sorry.
I was going to save that for that.
Well,
but,
probably one of that bump you took off the picnic table.
Sure.
That was dumb. You didn't have to take that.
Was there any breakout stars at this show? Now, just watching it back for the first time in a while, Caleb actually had a good match both days. JP day 1, Josh day 2. He looked pretty good. I liked watching Caleb this weekend, and I didn't remember at the time him being like a standout. And maybe that's just because there were so many new standouts, like breaking out stars were kind of all of us, right?
Right.
And that's kind of what the breakout star of BYS 2 was BYS. Like that was the show that's like the first one started it. This one was the coming out party. Like
Though
I said.
if I had to pick, I'd say Craig. What about you guys?
Honestly, like I didn't really know Craig, but
that's why.
So I don't want to say his name. I want to say, honestly, DC Doom and JP really impressed me.
Yeah.
For me, it was Brandon.
Brandon, yeah.
Maybe just because I never had the perspective.
Right.
But his match was so clean. So as I'm looking at it from
Both
just
of
like
them
a
were good,
yeah,
right?
just
Both of
like a
Brandon's
wrestling
matches were really
standpoint,
good.
like
Yeah, he's talking about you, Rick.
Both of
yes,
Brandon's
yeah,
matches.
both, yes. But literally, like I just like. I guess I never paid too much attention because the only match I've seen of his were maybe like against you guys wrestled him or I wrestled him. But to see like your match with him and then the other one, like he was doing some really
athletic.
Yeah, but just it just looked right.
Right. Yeah. Right. So that's how I described him previously. Was like he might not come to the table with a lot of ideas, but if you tell him something, he's gonna do it and do it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like he just knows what you're trying to get at. He's gonna do it, and it's gonna look sick.
Also,
he's a very easy person to wrestle because of that.
I'm also going to throw out Kevin for being a breakout star because he really didn't break out too well on BYS 1. I don't think he really wrestled at JAS 2, but like I felt like he, not to stroke my own ego, but I felt like we presented him as a main eventer.
I agree,
in that,
definitely.
In that. It wasn't like, why the hell is Kevin in this position and not Nutter? It just felt like he belonged.
And then you look at something like Weekend MVP, which is like that's something where you like kind of give shout out to like one guy specifically. And obviously throughout the course of BYS, your name gets dropped a lot for MVPs because you did all the housing and that type of shit, which does make you an MVP of the weekend. But if we just look specifically at wrestling and just the standout guys, like
it's still me.
You main evented both days, had good matches. Devin stood out in his triple threat match, wrestled great against Ed. Ed, incredible both days. B Snow, great both days.
Craig, both days.
Craig, great both days.
Rick, both days.
Thank you.
Well,
can't say my own name.
I mean, it's true. It's
so
true.
now knowing that there's an MVP and a breakout,
I'd
say Craig MVP,
right?
Kevin breakout for me personally,
right?
Rick MVP.
Yeah, Rick, you really went hard with Brandon. As
Rick
well.
breakout.
I'm not gonna say.
Thank you. I love you so much.
I mean, I if we're talking about backyard wrestling and that discussion we had was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I'm thinking about right now is that match you guys had.
Right.
Like, holy shit, you know.
So bump of the weekend. I'm gonna give mine to pen name jumping off the top, but if we're going with another one, when you kicked Craig and he backflipped up on the chair was gross.
Yeah, he didn't have to bump that like that, and he did.
No, he did. He power drived you shoot on the ground.
No, I'm saying like freely, like there was no, it was all him.
Right.
So that's definitely bump.
I was gonna say that power drive was probably the bump though.
Yeah.
Like what he did to you.
On
You
the
said
ramp.
how much. Yeah, and you said, well, no, I'm sorry,
on the ground.
Oh,
yeah,
over
the
there.
that hurt.
the shoot.
That looked great.
Yeah, it hurt like
that
a
looked great though.
That whole match was bump of the weekend. Like you did the one on the entrance way, you did the suplex off the table. Like you and Craig went backyard wrestling.
What about Josh getting kicked in the face?
Yeah, that was good too.
Does
the
that
very
count?
next one here is stiffest shot of the weekend, and I'm going to give that to Caleb kicking Josh in the face.
Oh, for sure. He was bleeding profusely from his nose and gums.
We'll also say you jumping on my head was kind of stiff.
Maybe that too. But I also want to say Craig MVP again. He also, I'm saying just back in that because he wrestled 3 times.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
well.
Like I said, he didn't have to volunteer to do that to make life easier, and he did.
He gave all 3.
He was pretty sunburned.
Phenomenal.
Too. That couldn't have felt good.
Yeah,
and he traveled the furthest. He came from 8 hours away. Nobody else had that type of trip to make.
Yep.
So the last 2 things on the list are favorite match, best match. You want to? Yeah, sure. Favorite match, best match.
Oh man, so this is going to be 2 matches.
Yeah, it can be both things.
What was your?
Just don't say your match because fuck your match.
I know. Yeah. I have to go back to Brandon and Craig.
Yeah.
As my favorite, or no, as the best match, but it's no question that it was you two as my favorite match because I know that if I was there, that would have been what I would have been like freaking out about.
Yeah.
So it would have to go that route.
So for me, my favorite match of the weekend was Ed versus Twisted Outcast, and it was amazing. It was great. Love to see that. And best match of the weekend, I would probably agree with you that Brandon Craig was really fucking great, and that yet another reason why Craig was MVP of the weekend. Showed up, cleared house, did everything incredible.
They just did shit that like. Even if you draw it up, it never turns out that perfect, and it just did. Like, it was...
and he filmed a lot. He reffed and he was super nice and kind, and he did not take my hospitality for granted at all. Like
he
Craig
did think your mom didn't have any legs, though. I remember that.
Well, no,
Why?
Because my mom has cerebral palsy.
Oh, I didn't know that. I feel
So
bad
in
now.
order for her to sit comfortably, sometimes she sits on her legs. So like it relieves the stress for her and shit. So she's sitting on the couch on her legs, and they go walking through, and they're like, "You didn't fucking warn me. Your mom doesn't have legs."
I'm sure he probably saw like her knees.
Yeah,
too.
right.
I don't think I would tell someone that my mom doesn't have legs if she didn't, especially if that was like we're walking
First
in.
meeting.
Right.
Like I would just let that organically
Yeah,
happen.
right. It's more fun that way.
But your mom does have legs, in
Still,
fact.
absolutely,
Both.
yeah,
Okay,
both
good.
has
Nice,
both.
very good.
All right, so favorite match. I'm probably gonna just go with Dom too. Favorite match is Beast and Craig. Best one or favorite one is you and Steve.
Yeah.
because I remember like he was saying like I was there live, and it was fucking insane.
I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna say the best match is a tie between you and Snow and you and Craig. Both of those were just really crisp, and just like you got the four. Well, yeah, the four of you all stood out equally. Like none of you outshined one another. And it just everything you did was crisp. The bumps you took and everything, the story you tell, and you and Snow, the bumps, yada yada yada. But my favorite match is going to maybe a surprise with Josh and Caleb. To this day, I think that story they told was unlike any story that I had seen other than stuff that I was putting out.
Yeah, right.
Like it felt like there was a lot of thought put into it. And their story, you do a super kick, I do a super kick. Cool, we're gonna tease it, we're gonna work the super kick, and then just the punctuation of that blasting Josh's teeth down his throat is just something I'll never forget because I thought it made perfect sense. And just, you can see me running over and look, and I don't even think I even said anything. I was just like, ah! And just like, he was like, does it look good? Just like the blood. It's just like, that's backyard wrestling right there.
Was he immediately asking, does it look crazy?
I think so.
That's
maybe
awesome.
he said it was, does it look broke? He asked.
Oh, he was worried.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. But just like that whole story, the whole combination of it all, is just something that'll stick with me.
And I definitely agree with that. I loved watching that one too. That was great. And that's another thing is like, whenever you look back at BYS1, there was like maybe one match or two or at most 3 matches that you could argue were the best match over the course of a whole 3-day span. And here we have just 2 days, and any person could argue for any number of like 6 to 8 matches as being their favorite or the best based on what their point of view was. So like the exponential jump in quality from BYS 1 to BYS 2, 2 months, 3 months maybe. No time at all between what we did at BYS 1 and BYS 2.
Wait, that was only a
significant
3-month
jump
period.
From June 18th to September 12th and 13th.
I mean, it makes sense now because we're talking about it in timeline, but my brain has told me that BYS has been a yearly event.
annual
Exactly.
And it's really not.
And it looks
Seasonal.
like it too.
It does. It feels like it.
Right.
Seasonal.
Yeah, big jump.
And so that was BYS 2 and what we all thought of it.
It was also nice seeing Josh get his face blasted because it was like, oh, wow, he's really giving this his all. And, like, I didn't know that, Josh, you know, growing up with him on the trampoline. Like, I knew how seriously I took backyard wrestling. I knew how seriously he took it when I'm working with him. I know how serious you took it when you were working with me. And, like, I felt that watching it and, like, feel like working with you guys, like, in the moment. But, like, I knew that Craig was going to bring something out of you. I knew that Snow, you know, was going to make you want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I got that because that's how you two were. But Josh was never that guy that I never really, because at the same time, he wasn't really taking it too seriously.
Absolutely.
Because he was, in the business still.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was willing to, like, how I perceived it to be going that hard was just like a shock. Because it's like,
the moonsault off the top, off
like,
the ladder.
Yeah, like, that's something.
It's
like,
almost like
Yeah,
that was the
true.
first time Josh wasn't just happy to be there.
Yeah, right.
He
was
wanted to, like,
Trying
and
to
it-
prove something.
In a
Yep.
weird way, it was kind of like, am I wrestling as Josh right now? Like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah,
like,
right. I feel
like
you.
you are doing shit that I would do and go as hard as I would, and it was just like, I think it was probably at that moment. It was like I probably start thinking about the idea of giving him the title at that point because it's like, wow,
Oh,
Josh.
yeah.
Josh.
I mean,
like,
he's always been capable, just
Right, yeah, exactly.
never willing in that setting.
Yep.
yeah, just like
Yeah.
he's kind of like that was his moment to break out and
Hell
just
yeah.
then you have the whole match as well. It's just like, oh, it's fucking great.
Yep, I
Loved
agree.
it.
Couldn't agree more. When we started doing this, Dominic and I were having a discussion and just talking about stuff. I brought up who I thought the power rankings order of SWC wrestlers go. And whenever I laid this order out, I was thinking purely backyard wrestling because that's what SWC was.
Right.
So whenever I didn't name Josh like first, Dominic's like, really? You don't think that should be
Oh
Josh's
yeah,
spot?
I was like immediately like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Yeah, like Josh
Wow.
is a really good wrestler. And it's like, while I completely agree with that, he was functionally crisp and knew what he was doing and how he wanted to go about things. In terms of being a backyard wrestler, he wasn't somebody that I would put atop of my list of like best backyard wrestlers in
Right.
SWC.
That makes sense,
But
yeah.
in that match, he was a backyard wrestler. So one last thing, after BYS 2's over, we have Ground Zero 13.
Oh, there's another episode. I didn't realize that. I'm sorry.
One last Ground Zero 13. We have GZ 13 here where I come out with both belts and drop in a little nonsense about how I finally got the job done and I'm here with both the belts and where's my boys at? And like Ed's over there talking shit. See, like Ed's just fucking with me the whole time. And
Is that my belt?
that is your belt.
Hell
And we
yeah.
are pretending right now that nobody had seen the belt yet, but we had seen it in the Steve promo. This is going. Oh, look! Was that James?
Yeah.
Yep, there's Jimmy P right there.
I actually did know there was another episode of this podcast, but I knew it was your moment, and I wanted to take that away from you again.
I appreciate that
Yeah,
so
of
much.
course.
So I'm like, all right, NWW's dead. This belt's little, and Ed has a new belt for me. And now we finally
Who was that?
I don't know.
Oh shit!
Oh my.
We finally get the
There it
Undisputed
is.
Championship.
Never seen
Officially
that before.
SWC championship.
Officially. And it's beautiful, dude. It looks great on camera. Carrying around made you look cooler as a wrestler.
Yeah.
Like,
JP's
that belt
belt.
was fucking cool. And it is JP's property, and I have been in possession of it for the last 10 years. Steve comes out to say, you know what? You did beat me. And they all kicked me out, so
I was just going to say, in hindsight, I should have been the one to bring out that belt.
Probably.
Especially knowing that...
I gotta say, Rick, why would you trust the guy?
Yeah,
I don't
come
know.
on, Eric.
At this point, you've seen what he's done.
I'm going to be honest. I was probably on so much
Why are
ecstasy
they
that day.
Because actually, we are
He just
friends in real
fucking
life.
powerbombed
Okay?
you.
We worked it out. Yeah, I've known him my entire life, okay? We're friends. We can fix things, okay? But in hindsight, that would have meant more
Yeah.
having me come out and present it as like a peace offering. Like, look,
I agree.
okay, like you beat me.
I very
okay?
much
And
agree.
then it would have also, knowing that I was going to betray you, it would have meant more.
Yep.
Like, why am I coming out?
This
Just
is
to
my
put you
match
over?
when I finally get to pick somebody up and I abuse the fuck out of
Good,
it.
thank God.
Yes, you do. And
I don't think I've done ever half these moves ever again.
Right, and some of them were kind of dangerous, but a lot of us didn't mind too much trying new moves against Lil Ryder, and he didn't care. He'd take
Yeah,
them.
he took him like a champ.
Why
He's a
was it-
rag doll.
Why wasn't he at BYS too? There's me getting naked. What the fuck?
You know, there was a lot of circumstances with him where, like, he didn't live at the apartment,
Oh.
so he was only there when he was there. type of
Younger,
deal.
too.
He would have
right?
lasted
Yeah.
longer if he didn't start selling drugs.
Look at that.
Did he really?
Yeah,
he
went to
started
jail
to get
for
really
shit and
like
stuff.
ghetto and shit.
Well, you guys really set him on the right
I knew
path.
Lil Ryder was his name. Like, there's a reason we called him that, bro.
This must have been really soon after BYS too, because I remember and I saw that I had a wrist brace on. Like
Yes.
that was shoot. Like
Right.
I was
Because of the German. You put your
Yeah.
arm down, yeah.
yeah, I was feeling it. Oh my god!
I missed it.
I think go
I
back.
remember it.
Go back.
Just
That
since
was-
we have before.
Yes, absolutely. No doubt. I feel everything.
Little Rider might be the next logo. Right here. Or no, next one.
The next after this spot. I
like
think.
you,
Yes.
he comes down
fucking
on
murdered
the
him
on
with
the
this.
round. Oh, your legs are supposed to be flat.
I know. I fucked up.
It's okay.
That was good.
If Lil Ryder took this shit as serious as we did, he would have been probably top 3.
I agree. Yep, no doubt about it. He had so much potential and he was willing to do anything and his body control was great. Like, this is a high compliment and I mean it to be one. The way that he moved his body and his muscle mass, not necessarily the size of his frame, but the way the frame looked, he reminds me of Anarchy Andy.
Oh really?
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Okay, I guess I can see that. Just the willingness to die.
Yeah, and like how he attacks
Yeah.
his death. And like same bulky shoulder type deal that Andy had.
Yeah, it's not like he was skinny. He was just short.
Right.
And that's funny because like he was short on a lot of us. And
Yes.
we're not tall guys.
Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm 5'5". I feel short very often in life, and he made me feel tall.
Lil Ryder, Super Phoenix versus Jay Pizzle here.
What the fuck?
I think everybody changed their name. He can't still be echoed. Is
It
that
said
what
Echo
No,
when
it
it
said
came
Echo,
out,
yeah.
yeah.
No, because we're friends still.
Oh, right. Yeah, never mind. You're homies.
No. Who am I gonna wrestle on this?
Me.
No way, with an injured wrist.
Yeah, bro.
Well, it would make sense. You attacked him.
Yeah,
with
and,
the
and it's
belt.
for
I
the
wanted
belt.
the rematch.
Yeah, we got to have the rematch.
On ground zero. I love it. You guys did not disappoint the fans.
No, we gave them exactly what they wanted to see. None of this Monday
This gets
Night
to be
Raw
the
bullshit.
wrestling
No.
match now, not the
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. This
everybody fights and dies.
No doubt
was,
about
which we
it.
still should have probably been fighting. I feel like.
Like I said,
See, I did it again.
the wrong knee went down.
Yeah, you're
That's
supposed
what
to-
you're talking.
yeah, 'cause
Okay.
you're-
Don't
right.
worry. Us casuals cannot even tell.
All right, good. Like I know that I've never
Payback.
heard anyone with that, but you know you put your opponent at risk to hitting your knee, your face on your to your knee.
Oh, this is
I
disgusting.
remember this.
I remember this. Yeah, I forgot about this.
You guys
Tire
learn
bump.
not to stack things. Clearly leads to bumps.
What happened to the entranceway?
Wind.
No.
Oh. That's boring.
Yep.
What the fuck is good? What is he going on?
You tricked me again.
I didn't trick him. He tricked me.
So I'm still the champ, and JP turned on Fokalin, and CTK is officially dead.
Well, no, I'm officially.
You're
out of
officially
CTK.
out.
Isn't it
CTK.
kind of weird, like doing a show that small after having such a big show?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
It's like peaceful and like relieving, but at the same time, it's like, damn, I miss everybody.
Yeah, and we took advantage of it because we had 3 ground zeros in that week. Like, so that was the beginning.
No way.
It was like 10-1, 10-4, and 10-7. Ground zero, ground zero, ground zero.
I feel like we probably did that. Did we do that just to maybe make it
think half
feel
of
like
us
all
didn't have a
one and
job.
it just wasn't?
No, it was supposed to, but that's what it was. We didn't have a job, so it was like I could show up Saturday, I could show up Wednesday, and show up again on Saturday, and we could have shows all 3 of those days.
What?
So as we move away from BYS2, we start to work our way towards the actual beginning of Revival, whenever it was officially formed. That happened right before JAS3 happens, which is
Coming up.
Coming up next. The next episode that we do is going to be JAS3 and Midwest Extravaganza in Indiana, which is where we pay back these guys that came to our show by going to their shows. So we'll talk a lot about that in the future. But for now, any final thoughts? Anything about BYS2 that we didn't talk about?
I think I got everything out I wanted to get out.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I feel good about it.
Yeah, I would say, at least to me, the 2 biggest highlights and talking points were Josh getting kicked in the face and you getting kicked in the head.
Yeah.
So if there's any silver lining, if you're gonna do this, make sure you really kick them.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
that's
No
what,
doubt.
And it's kind of cool that I just thought of this. We didn't have like a big name guy. Like Zane wasn't here. We didn't get someone new and special or
Oh, it's
someone
Craig.
from the link.
Craig.
Well, but like he gets what I'm saying.
Yeah, he
Craig
was still
was
kinda-
another
Yeah.
GBYWN guy. Whenever he showed up, people didn't say Twisted Outcast is on the
right.
show. We need to watch it.
Right.
But I agree.
He
it's
felt
like we're
equal.
standing on our own
Yeah,
feet. Everybody
exactly.
there. Like there was no when's the Zane match. It was like what's the next match and what are they going to do?
and everyone put on.
And everybody
Well,
put on.
On the same coin on the other side, I always liked the fact that each BYS introduced a new dynamic in
Yeah.
the sense of a guest.
Yep.
So the first time we had Ohio, FX, and KPW.
Yep.
The second time we had Indiana and Craig.
Yep.
Are we going to have anyone on the third one? Is there going to be a third one? Is there going to be...
Next week.
Is there going to be BYS 4? Would we get anybody new there? What about 5? Will we get anybody new there? So we were always growing.
Yep.
Just we were also, I feel like we were also maintaining and like building our foundations.
Yeah,
as well.
and we had to because this, for all intents and purposes, was a reboot of backyard wrestling. So there were people in other states that weren't these guys. Like the New York people were starting their stuff up from the bottom, and Florida was pretty much the only place that was still going strong.
but
still.
they're so isolated.
Right.
With it, you know.
Exactly. But everybody else was building their own groundwork of what they were going to be doing for 2009, 10, 11, and so on. So, like, as much as this was building the groundwork, we were still fighting for our spot and trying to make it seem like Pittsburgh was the place to be. So we had to keep pushing forward. And I'm sure we do, because if not, there wouldn't be a whole lot of podcasts left to go, right?
I also want to point out that at the end of BYS 2, after the kickout, now there was no reason to continue any sort of storylines from Super Show to Super Show.
Yep.
Because that was really the only thing. Is like Snow wanted to join CTK, DC Doom, then Indiana joined CTK. And it's like, well, they're not involved anymore. We don't need to. It's not like
a fresh start.
Yeah, it was kind of like that was also like. A real Super Show era has started now.
Yep.
It's not so canonically going from, you need to watch BYS 1, you need to watch JAS 2.
BYS 1 was the pilot.
Yeah.
It really looks like
and
it.
then you have JAS 2, because then you have to introduce, what happened then. And then, like, where it's like, at that point on Super Shows could kind of just be their own thing.
No doubt. Yep. And that's what we'll talk about going forward.
I'm excited.
To end this episode, I want Ed to tell me what his favorite Power Ranger was.
Oh, the Red Ranger.
It had to be. Who didn't
Which
know
one?
that Ed's
Jason, though. The original dude.
Yeah, right.
Jason.
Because he wears the same color helmet as you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Fuck you, Eric.
Fuck you too, Ed. Golden Triangle Media out.